Chapter 63, Fermentation. There was no need to overthink it. She knew that Master God had tricked her. What happened to the 1-week break? Why did it disappear just like that? Kurumi couldn't help but complain in her heart. Master God's injuries were not ordinary. Was there a need to put in so much effort? She glanced at the world she was in. Apocalypse Summoner. Kurumi fell silent. This was no longer a fight. This was courting death. Although Kurumi did not know how strong Master God was, the epic gods of this world could travel through timelines. However, their combat ability was not as abnormal as the Gamma level. However, there was still the realm of transcendence and creation. From the later stages of Yang En's transmigration to the world similar to the wilderness, there was a small portion of transcendence. Who knew how many worlds there were in this world? The water in this world was abnormally deep. She had never heard of those big shots coming to this world to stir up trouble in her previous life. The consciousness of this world should be so powerful that it makes one's hair stand on end. The Lord God came to this tiger's mouth to steal food. Kurumi calmed herself down. Since it had the confidence, even its identity had been made. She, a little soldier, should not have been noticed by those experts. In any case, wasn't it very typical to travel around in this world? Why isn't there the so-called space administration? There are so many powerhouses that can destroy the heavens and the earth. Today, we are here to play. Tomorrow, we will go there to play. Just thinking about it makes me very excited. Looking at this background, it should be before the end of the world. Our dear legendary dark summoner Li Jiayu has not been reborn. As for how to make a name for herself in front of a reincarnated person, what can Kurumi do? She is also very desperate. Now, she can only give Master God enough trust. Those so-called epic gods should be easy to deal with by being deceived by the Master God. Maybe she can take advantage of a white wolf with nothing to get a top inheritance without spending a samsara point. It is fascinating to think about it. Let's return to Kurumi's original ability. That is the best thing. If this world were controlled well, it would be the best plane to reach the heavens in a single bound. Moreover, the two laws of space and time in this world were abnormally active. Once Kurumi's ability as an elf awakened, it was likely that only black and white jade could compete with Yang En in this plane. Thinking of this, her eyelids slowly began to fight again. She wanted to sleep. The nursing staff and bodyguards who had just come in from the outside carefully retreated. Li Feng stood outside smoking a cigarette. Today's matter was terrible. He did not expect she would be attacked as soon as she flew over from Yingzhou Island. Although no one died, this was simply a slap to the face of the Tokisakis family, who did not know how much old Master Tokisaki doted on her. Ever since his son and daughter-in-law died on the plane, only this one child had inherited the vast family business. That group of people dared to attack. They were mad dogs. He was afraid this matter wouldn't end so quickly. He doesn't know what kind of forces will be involved in the secret bloody storm. A broken bar. Fortunately, there was no big problem with the young lady. Otherwise, broken bar Li Feng, who was smoking, directly shivered. Several officials from Xijiang City also stood on the side and smiled apologetically. Seeing that Li Feng ignored them, they did not show any dissatisfaction. They turned around with a smile on their faces and chatted with the dean. It was not that they did not want to leave. No one was willing to accept this troublesome problem. The investment was one thing, and the attacker's identity was another. Most importantly, there was a gun battle in their jurisdiction. That was a huge matter. It was said that if the sky collapsed, a tall person would hold it up. Bullshit. It was simply nonsense. Those tall people pushed the responsibility one by one and made it onto them. This showed that they were the ones who resisted everything. If there were merit, then they would be high. They cursed in their hearts and ran to the hospital. When they heard that the young lady of the Tokisaki financial group was fine, they finally relaxed. The investment was probably ruined, but it would be fine as long as they did not withdraw from their company. They were afraid that the old Tokisaki man would go crazy and not care about the messy things, causing the entire Xijiang city to suffer a considerable loss. When the time comes, not only will you lose your position, but you will also be punished. A broken bar. The things on the internet had already begun to ferment. Fortunately, in this world, the country was the most powerful. There were no clowns who dared to come out and accuse them. At most, they would expose how dangerous their side was. It was still our place that was better. Night slowly descended. The forum of Xijiang University exploded. A post named Shock. The heir of the Yingzhou Tokisaki group was attacked in my city. Xijiang University's exchange student was her. There were 2 or 3 pictures in the post. The first one was blurred. The girl was lying on the stretcher. The second was a dozen bodyguards dressed in black suits, and the third was an extended version of the Maybach Zeppelin. After a simple introduction of the shooting incident, they promoted the various things under the banner of Tokisaki Financial Group and how extensive the scope of their involvement was. A broken bar. In the middle of the night, the energetic students were constantly typing messages on their keyboards. X568, the sofa, for love. I know about the shooting in the city. I didn't expect that the attacker was the heir of the Tokisaki Financial Group. Oh, the idiot upstairs. Rumors have been spreading for several weeks. As the heir of the top conglomerate, there are too many interests involved. Who else should I attack if not her? A broken bar. Not fainting. My God, all of you are talented. I just found out that the heir of the Yingzhou Financial Group is a woman. Under the oxygen absorption. Hey, the main point is not this, okay? She is an exchange student who will come to our school. If she is hooked up, what will she do for the rest of her life? Money signing. TSK. I don't think they will come to our school. Even if they had come before, they would probably fly back to Yingzhou now that this has happened. 6666. Can you be a little confident? Xijiang University is the focus. How lonely it was to be invincible. Do any of you know what she looks like? A broken bar. Even outside the school, Many postings gradually spread to the whole country, but some people liked to show their existence anonymous. I think this also serves her right. The rise of the Tokisakis financial group must have done too many dirty things. Now the cause and effect of punishment are very unpleasant. I think only by scattering all the wealth of the family can we solve the crisis. Riding on it, the keyboard warrior upstairs. Daddy will wash your face. Do you know how much money he donated a year and how much he did for public welfare? Even if you are right, how can a girl do evil things? You can only shout on the internet and do not even dare to show your face. I am your barber. On the top floor. The keyboard warrior is disgusting. A broken bar. The news workers who had worked overtime until now were writing their manuscripts over and over again, trying not to miss a single detail. They were sure that this incident would be sold out. Li Feng flipped through the news that had been spread out. He was so angry that he stomped his feet. The unscrupulous media had spread the information before the young lady flew over from Yingzhou. Otherwise, how could she have encountered an attack so coincidentally? Now that he saw something like this, he felt a deep sense of boredom. Kurumi did not know about it. She was sleeping soundly now. Her mental overdraft made her have a rare good dream. The night was still very long. A broken bar. Chapter 64, Yangon. The following day, in this high-class ward with the best lighting, gentle sunlight shone through the gap between the curtains. The light shone on Kurumi's face, and a trace of unhealthy paleness added to her charm. One of the two female bodyguards leaned against the wall and took a nap, while the other was unwilling to relax. Their eyes were like tigers and wolves, as if anyone who dared to break in would be torn to pieces by her in the next moment. The light slowly slanted to Kurumi's eyelashes, dyeing the color. Just like the goddess of light, the tears in the corners of her eyes fell on it. She wanted someone to kiss her gently and wake up the sleeping beauty on the bed. It was as tempting as a fairy tale. At some point in time, the female bodyguard's gaze had stopped on the side of Kurumi's soft half-face. Every time she saw her, she would sigh. This child was like the daughter of the creator. She could not bear to leave a single flaw on her body. Any beauty could be described in her. She looked at the lovely person on the bed with some infatuation, but she slowly opened her eyes. Her wine-red eyes were enough to make anyone intoxicated. You might not believe it when I say it. Kurumi was awakened by hunger, and she fought in a high-intensity continuous battle. The little bit of food she ate in the high school of the dead had long been absorbed into nothingness. Now, she was not extraordinary. She was not the kind of existence that could eat once every few months. Moreover, the extract of stimulants was no weaker than the exhaustion of one's spirit. The pale lips parted slightly, and the female bodyguard immediately bowed and listened. Although it was just a gentle question, it was like a clap of thunder in her ears. She cursed those idiots in her heart. What time was it? They couldn't even do such a small thing. She might as well go home and farm. No matter how angry she was, she could not show it in front of the angelic and pure young lady. She smiled and tried to calm herself down. I'll be right away. I'll go out and urge them. When she saw Kurumi nod, she let out a sigh of relief and walked out the door. The person leaning against the wall and napping had already woken up when Kurumi spoke her first sentence and was doing a shift job. Li Feng and the others outside were poorly scolded. There were a lot of things to do. They had not rested for a night. Unexpectedly, they had to eat breakfast. They were so anxious that their minds were muddled. They hurriedly drove the car all the way and only boarded in 15 minutes. If not for the black and white license plates and the bullet holes on the car, he would have been invited to drink tea. Although he was scolded after arriving at the hospital. A broken bar. Kurumi never thought that she would be involved in many things when she was hungry and wanted to eat. She felt that her identity was just an ordinary young lady. She never thought about how powerful the words Tokisaki Financial Group brought. A broken bar. After a simple breakfast, Kurumi felt that the porridge in this house was perfect. She thought about when the world had started to be invaded. She tried to recall, but it was too long ago. Besides, who would remember the time of the disaster when reading a novel? This was not the history of human development. There was no need to take the examination. A broken bar. She could only vaguely remember that it was the end of August 2013. Was it in the morning or the afternoon? She turned to look out the window. The curtains had already been pulled to both sides. The green in the hospital was like a small park. Many patients and family members were already moving on the road in the forest. It seemed the broken bar was very at ease. However, how long could this scene last? What time is it today, miss? Today is August 20th, 09:10 in the morning, 2013. Although the female bodyguard was a little confused, she answered truthfully, yes. Kurumi kept calculating in her heart. It should not be long before the insect realm descended, but it could completely restore her body. However, she still had a question. Was this time when Li Jiayu was reborn, or was it after her rebirth, or was it some other timeline? In these directions, the development is very different. The timeline in the dark is too chaotic. It is normal to cross and shuttle. Although the original work only wrote those few, what kind of terrible things will appear in other timelines? What's more, there is a parallel world. A broken bar. My god, it is a high-risk plane. Kurumi never thought that Master God would bring her to this place. Shouldn't she go to other low-level planes to kill monsters and level up first? Why didn't she play according to the routine? But since she came, she should be at ease. Shouldn't there be something too dangerous in the early stages of the dark for her current strength? The one who could threaten her in Xijiang University. A broken bar. Mrs. Shida, or a certain number of red ground beetles. Thinking of the twilight morning star in her backpack, she calmed down a little. She was not strong enough. Was she afraid that Flower Reincarnation Point would not be able to kill you? Unfortunately, the side mission in the High School of the Dead had killed 10,000 dead bodies. There, Junior Hunter medal had made her jealous. It was simply a divine artifact that could quickly pass the novice stage. All attributes +10. With this kind of strength, Even Mrs. Shido could be beaten. It was to be careful of its spiritual attack. That thing was invisible and colorless. It was indeed a bit difficult to deal with other than its natural spiritual strength. Before that, where should I go? I can't just stay in the hospital all the time and go to Xinjiang University to see Li Jiayu. It's also perfect for familiarizing myself with the route. She looked at the bodyguard beside her and asked, "What are the next plans, miss?" "The original plan has been cancelled. They hope that you can fly back to Yingzhou as soon as possible." Kurumi was immediately unhappy. "Cancel? Then what are you playing? Then how are you going to eat and drink with Li Jiayu?" To build a good relationship with a strong person who could at least reach the Genesis realm in the future, learn the summoning technique, leave a plane coordinate, spiritual imprint, and so on. If she couldn't deal with it in other planes in the future, wouldn't this call be excellent? What was the original plan? The female bodyguard was stunned. It turned out that this young lady hadn't heard anything at all. How could she have forgotten everything? Could it be the aftermath of being frightened? She thought of the whole reason and felt that her deduction was reasonable and reasonable. "Young lady, you came here as an exchange student. The school you chose was the most famous university in Xinjiang City, Xinjiang University. Then, you also supervised some of Tokisaki's companies. On the 22nd, a charity party will be held by influential local people in the Haitian city of Shan province. When I heard that you came to Hua country, I sent someone to send an invitation. Whether you go or not depends on your mood." After the female bodyguard said this, she heard Kurumi muttering in a low voice, "Shan province, Haitian city. A broken bar, Yangan? A broken bar." She twitched her eyes. She felt that this news was essential. This was the first time she had heard the name of another man from the young lady. She had to report it. "Then what are we waiting for? Let's go to Xinjiang University now." And young lady, these plans have been cancelled." The female bodyguard felt a headache coming on. If there was another attack, would they still want to live? "I said everything will go according to the original plan." Seeing the seriousness in Kurumi's wine-red eyes, the female bodyguard did not try to persuade her. Very agreed. As for other things, she just had to report it to the higher-ups and leave it to those people. She only had to protect the young lady closely. Chapter 65, Xinjiang. Li Feng had a headache over the young lady's willful request. The people's attitude above was ambiguous, indicating that everything was according to her wishes. Li Feng wanted to use his 45-yard shoe sole to slap their 54-yard fat faces ruthlessly. If it's all right, everything would be fine, but if there was such a troublesome problem, it would be over. When the officials saw a chance, they patted their chests louder than anyone else. They said that Xinjiang had already begun a comprehensive examination. Anyway, there would be no more attacks. Li Feng rubbed his swollen temples and wanted to ask them how they knew. "I haven't seen any of you make an emergency call after staying here all night. However, you don't have to hit a smiling person." Seeing them personally bow, "You are embarrassed to refuse." He found an excuse for himself. It was tough to explain things to the young lady. After he did his best to persuade her, Li Feng knew that his return to Yingzhou would be ruined when he saw the young lady's look of "Please continue your performance." However, it was indeed their responsibility to be attacked no matter what. He could not escape the responsibility of the young lady staying in the hospital. Since it was the young lady's request, he must do it beautifully this time. He did not want to make the young lady look at him in a different light. He only wanted to recover the impression in his heart. This way, he would not go back to Yingzhou to visit him. He wanted to cry. When the officials saw that this matter was settled, they were overjoyed. After graduating from liberal arts, they even wrote a title for tomorrow's news. "The victim is fine." After working hard for many parties, the heir of the Tokisaki financial group is still full of confidence in Xinjiang. Look, it's official news. As for why it's multi-party, there's nothing wrong with it. The top still has to divide the credit. It's good enough to leave some soup for them. As for what Kurumi thought, it didn't matter to her. If the little girl was not willing, then it was another matter. Anyway, if she withdrew, the credit would be no big deal. It was the reason she had to keep herself safe. A broken bar. These 2 days were terrible. Since the shooting case in the city, people have significantly declined. It was usually very lively. The scene of people squeezing people was already invisible. There were all kinds of shops. Some closed the door directly. Heavens, do you know how much damage it has caused to the taxis of Xinjiang this month? Looking at it, I'm afraid it will take a few more days to return to normal. Is this watch still handed to the province? The old mayor is not in good health, and he could not sleep well last night. He looked a few years older. Now it was finally time for the good news. "I heard that the child of Tokisaki's family is not willing to go back." "It's good that he is not ready to go back. Although it is a little strange, there is no harm in having a good mood. Then I'll get some investment along the way." "What's the loss these days?" "It's just a drizzle. I repeatedly told them to deal with it. If necessary, we can use the police car to open the way." He didn't want to hear that the little girl was attacked again. It was like taking his old bones life. Thus, those people happily handled everything and quickly greeted Xinjiang University. This person was a heavyweight. If he was in a good mood, why didn't he donate some construction money to you? Li Feng finally sighed and asked the others to drive the anti-missile car air transportation to the airport. This time, it was not as high profile as before. It didn't grow long and didn't have other functions. Other than the car tags, the cars were almost precisely the same, so people could not tell which car was the important person. As for those cars, the scratches and bullet holes on them, wouldn't it be a disgrace to the Tokisaki family if they were driven out? Not to mention the inauspicious, as well as other messy taboos. A broken bar. Xinjiang University was notified, and this matter was not easy to handle. They did not say that they would donate money, and this way, they could not hold a welcoming party. Therefore, the school leaders could not all attend, So wouldn't it be very embarrassing? But what if the little girl from the Tokisaki family felt that she was not valued? This was also a matter. The several directors who were sitting together in the meeting, and the principals of Xijiang University were discussing what to do. The person sitting next to the chief seemed to be a little impatient. Alright, it's not like that old guy Tokisaki came personally. Why is he pretending to be so grand? No one is busy. How can they have time to gather together for such a small matter? Hey, if old Master Tokisaki were to come personally, I'm afraid it would not be our Xijiang University's turn. What kind of important person is he? Do you have no idea in your heart? The middle-aged man opposite him was at loggerheads. As they watched the two school directors quarrel, the principal and vice principals looked at their noses and mouths. Every one of them looked like they had nothing to do with themselves. Although the people who could sit here were all people who had quite a strong background behind them, there was always a distinction between high and low. The older man sitting in the head seat rubbed his eyebrows. The senior fellows with him had handed over their seats to the next generation. Looking at the younger generation arguing with each other, they were really worried about the future Chamber of Commerce. After coughing a few times, the two middle-aged men naturally knew when they could be impudent and when they could not. They immediately stopped arguing and ignored each other. The power of the Tokisaki financial group has naturally left us in the dust. The little girl is the only heir. To put it bluntly, her current status is stronger than those of us who have fought for more than half of our lives. Let's not talk about those unrealistic things. One thing is one thing. I think there will be a lot of officials in the city. Naturally, we can't treat them rashly. The old director seemed to be sizing up everyone sitting. Finally, he calmed himself down and said, then Fan Heiqiang and Xiao Wangqing, go and welcome them. Also, call a few more department heads. As for the donation, it doesn't matter. Just leave a good impression on the heir of the Tokisaki family. After a few months of exchange, we can have some feelings. If we encounter any obstacles, we will seek help from the Tokisaki financial group when the time comes. We will at least give you some opportunities. The first half was for the principals to hear. The second half was naturally for the two juniors who were fighting over it to learn more. It was not like they had to rely on themselves for everything. It was not embarrassing enough to stay in this field and fight all day long. The two of them naturally knew as well. On the surface, they were calm, but they started to calculate in their hearts. If they were to build a relationship with Tokisaki Financial Group, then they would be able to go up to another level in the future. They could go up a few levels. Moreover, the other party was still a girl. Although they did not know what she looked like, as long as she was not too ugly, they could let their shrewd son go up and give it a try. If he could get a family out, then would Xijiang City, no, the entire Tanin province, not allow him to do as he pleased? As if seeing through the other party's thoughts, the middle-aged man who had been mocking him at the beginning opened his mouth and exposed the other person's weakness. Director Ding, don't let your good-for-nothing son appear in front of the little girl. If he couldn't do anything to mess up, then it would be related to you. He spoke in a strange tone, causing Director Ding to be so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He snorted coldly, saying to you, hey, don't be unconvinced. That Ding Cheng of your family has the demeanor of when you were young. He drives a sports car all day to pick up those young girls in school. I heard that he even made a few girls pregnant. He is simply a representative figure of Xijiang City who doesn't study and has no skills. You. A broken bar. Looking at the two juniors arguing again, the old colonel sighed. He stood up shakily and was about to leave with his walking stick. Fan Heiqiang, who was at the side, took the opportunity to support him quickly. Chapter 66, Jiu. The old school director naturally knew that Fan Heiqiang was an old fool. It could be said that he was a SHT stirrer at Xijiang University, but he had a background. Come to think of it, other than a few people who came to Xijiang University under their reputation and education, how many others could there be? However, what Fan Heiqiang did was not considered to have exceeded the standard. If he was greedy, then he should be greedy. This kind of person was also comfortable to use. He was very good at observing people's expressions. He knew what the occasion was and what to do. Generally, he handled things very beautifully. This was also why the old school director had always turned a blind eye to him. Fan Heiqiang naturally understood the reason. Even if it were rumored that he had an old friend in the Yongcity military region and his status was very outstanding, it was still far away that he could not get rid of the fire. Therefore, he had to rely on himself. He had a backer behind him. If any influential person in Xijiang dared to touch him, it would be very painful. He was also ambitious and constantly stuffed his trusted subordinates into Xijiang University. What if those small companies can't get people? Give me money. I will transfer the real elites to you for a few months. As for whether you can keep them or not, it depends on your ability. What if you want to enter a big company as soon as you graduate? Give me a gift. As long as you perform a little better, I can start my relationship to give you an award or something. When the time comes, I will push it to a big company. People will see it. Hey, this child is not bad. Isn't it just a big deal? As for how long you can stay in the office and not be dismissed depends on your ability. If it doesn't work, you can send me some gifts and arrange a stable job for you. It is also effortless. You have money, I have connections, and the cooperation is quite pleasant. As a female student, it is okay to sleep with a beautiful girl. As for exposing her, it doesn't exist. Recording the video and all kinds of relationships. I think you won't dare to move too much. I will get you a business secretary manager or something when the time comes. Just do it. Anyway, it is a meal of youth. If you have the ability, you can climb up. If you don't know, you can't blame me when you are old. This person, everything depends on yourself. Several principals stood up. Regardless of the two directors getting noisier, they went out to arrange things one by one. When the two saw no one left, They almost put on an all-martial arts show in the conference room. It was wonderful. However, no matter how much they quarreled, they still had to keep their brains. The young lady of the Tokisakis financial group was about to arrive. She said that she would not go to see him. She felt that she was too embarrassed. What a joke. That was only to say, a great opportunity was right in front of them, to be able to talk about a business deal or two, backed by the big Tokisaki financial group, and do some small things in Xijiang City. No one dared to move. It was as if he had returned to the age when his blood was boiling when he was young. He adjusted his suit and touched the bald hair. He put away the beer belly of a 6-month pregnant woman and felt that the very was good. It was a f***ing hot blood era. They were not like the previous generation. They were fighting honestly. What did they do when they were young? They were similar to Ding Cheng, the son of Ding Dong. They went abroad to play for a few years, picked up a few foreign girls, and returned to the country to play. It was just that they did not have as many tricks as Ding Cheng. There was no other way. The age gap was also understandable. Now they are going to do it? No, no. The kidney is not good. If they do it again, they will be crippled. A broken bar. However, someone was faster than them. Fan Haiqiang helped the old colonel into the principal's office. There was a wind under his fat body. It was impossible to see that he was a fat man who was nearly 200 pounds. He called a few subordinates he trained. After a few simple words, he began to find Xiao Wangqing. These people were all his trusted aides. Not to mention their abilities, but they were pretty good at dealing with people. Now, they could be put to good use. Everyone wanted to show their faces in front of the young lady of Tokisaki Financial Group. Even if they couldn't remember them, it was always good to have a good impression. In the future, at the dining table, they would have a few qualifications to brag about, thinking about the feeling of being surrounded by stars. To be able to act tough in front of a bunch of good-for-nothing friends, that sour and refreshing feeling was simply chilling. Every one of them smiled at each other. Even if they greeted each other, they quickly followed behind their immediate superior, Fan Haiqiang. Looking at Xiao Wangqing's beautiful and soul-stirring face, her beautiful figure revealed a sense of honey. Compared to those young and inexperienced female students, Fan Haiqiang still had a stronger desire for such a woman. It was a lie to say that he did not have any thoughts. However, her family background could easily crush him to death. They were a large number of influential people. If he offended her, he was afraid that even his old friend in the Yongqing military region would not dare make a sound. Fan Haiqiang greeted her with a smile. He walked side by side with Xiao Wangqing. The men behind him stole glances from time to time. Their tall figure, perky buttocks, and tall and straight thighs were tempting them to look at them. They were middle-aged, yet they were still so shameless. They waited for Tokisaki's motorcade not far from the school gate. The passing students curiously looked at the two vice principals who were rarely seen. Was he waiting for someone? Look at Principal Xiao. He is a disaster. He is even more beautiful than our school's school beauty. I didn't expect you to like a married woman. Your taste is extraordinary, but I still think that the Society of the Sword is beautiful. Hey, when you say this, I think of Ran Hong and Principal Xiao. A broken bar. They seem to be relatives. The boy scratched his head and was not very sure. Yi carefully looked at Xiao Wangqing, standing at the side, and then took out his phone to find out the photos he had taken secretly. He carefully compared them. A broken bar FCK. There is a bit of similarity. If the two of them were together, a broken bar. A broken bar. The two passers-by looked at each other and revealed a smile that everyone understood. They let out extremely vulgar laughter, scaring the girls who passed by behind them into hurriedly pulling away. A broken bar. A series of black Mercedes-Benz cars drove into the campus, successfully attracting the attention of the passing students. The video recording of the mobile phone, the shooting, and guessing which big boss had come and had such a significant posture. A broken bar. Li Jiayu, wait for me. Hearing this, the handsome boy in front of the gorgeous woman rolled his eyes, lowered his head, and sped up again. He didn't want to walk with this woman who had been pestering him all the time. He announced that he was hers in the freshman gala, and no one was allowed to snatch him from her. Huang Xiaolu, who had been paid attention to by the boys, immediately exploded when she said this. Li Jiayu, who was low-key, was suddenly pushed to the edge of the wind and waves. When she thought about it now, she shivered. She really couldn't stand the bustle. In the classroom, they would see each other every day. They would meet in the canteen for a meal and go out to play. Last night, she just lay in the dormitory bed. She ran downstairs to play the guitar to show her love to him. Oh my god, this is big news. Several boys in the dormitory are crying and screaming. There is also news on the campus forums, but fortunately, it was suppressed by the post of the big miss of the consortium. Otherwise, he would not know how to see people. Jiayu, if you go forward, you will bump into someone else. Huh? Li Jiayu raised her head in confusion, and the half-beautiful side face was reflected in her eyes. Chapter 67, Good Impression. He did not know why the ancient people would use such exaggerated sentences when describing women. Even Xiao Wangqing and Principal Xiao, whom he had always liked, were not qualified to withstand the praise in those ancient poems. Although it was brilliant, it could not be taken seriously. He only felt that it was too exaggerated, but he could not understand why some could sacrifice all their kings for women in ancient times. Could it be that some women could be so beautiful? He had never seen Jia and Baozi before. In his heart, the most beautiful person was Xiao Wangqing. Until now, the feeling of beauty lingered in his heart. No matter how many words were used to describe it, they were all pale and powerless. Only the ancient text could show its artistic conception. Hands as soft as jade, skin like cream, head like cheese, teeth like pearls, head with curved eyebrows, delicate smile, beautiful eyes. This poem seemed to be made for a girl like her. Suddenly, Li Jiayu saw the girl smile at him. He felt that the surrounding colors had dimmed. Even the radiance of the sun was willing to crawl at her feet. Perhaps even gods and devils would be attracted by her beauty. His line of sight was blocked. A bodyguard in a black suit stood in the middle of the two, looking at him with vigilance in his eyes. Li Jiayu scratched her head awkwardly and took a few steps back. Looking at the girl in the middle of the crowd, he had a strange feeling. What's wrong? Did Jiayu fall for him? Xiaolu stepped on her high heels and finally caught up with Li Jiayu, who was frozen in place. He directly held his arm without hesitation. Li Jiayu shook her head, her beautiful eyes revealing a hint of doubt. Of course not. I feel a little familiar with her. Xiaolu seemed to have discovered a new world. She released his arm and ran to him, sizing him up with her big eyes. TSK, Jiayu, this excuse of yours is too superficial and familiar. Do you want to say that you saw her when you were young? When we were young, the daughter of a rich family accidentally ran out and happened to encounter difficulties. She happened to be helped by a poor boy. The two of them left traces of each other in their hearts until they met again in college. Then, a sad love story happened. Xiaolu paused and looked at Li Jiayu's clean eyes all the time. She was a little embarrassed and turned her head away, but she still couldn't resist the desire to complain. She continued, it's like a third-rate dog-blood Korean drama. Seeing Li Jiayu turn to look at the people who left, Xiaolu leaned forward again, hugged his arm and shook it gently. Hey Jiayu, don't think about it. The gap between her and us is too big. We can't be together in this life. Are you not going to consider me? The girl in front of him had an innocent smile on her face, made up of light makeup. Li Jiayu was indeed stunned for a while, and then she was beaten back to her original form by the following sentence. We can start with a sexual partner. A broken bar. Hey, Li Jiayu, wait for me. Do you know that the people who are chasing me can line up from the dormitory to the school gate? I am chasing you now. A broken bar. Xiaolu looked at Li Jiayu, who turned around and left. She angrily stomped on the ground with her high heels. The figure getting further and further away made her bright face swell up into a bun. The boys passing by were surprised. They did not expect that the goddess would be so cute. Looking at Li Jiayu, who left the beautiful woman and walked alone, she pouted with jealousy. Such a high-quality goddess is not satisfied. She should be single for the rest of her life. Ha ha ha. Don't even think about it, kid. The friend beside him patted his shoulder. Li Jiayu, how can you not know her? She is a person who is even more famous than a school idol. No matter what, it is impossible to find a girlfriend. Instead of caring about others, it is better to care about your five-fingered girl first. Listening to his friend's ridicule, the boy rolled his eyes and replied absent-mindedly, I know a broken bar. A broken bar. The moment Kurumi got off the car, she attracted everyone's attention. She naturally saw Li Jiayu, who almost bumped into the bodyguard, and for some reason, she had a good impression of this handsome boy. Kurumi did not know him. A broken bar. Could it be that he was Li Jiayu? In the original work, other than Yang An, only the protagonist was attractive to girls. Yang An couldn't be here. He was handsome and slender, and there was only him in Xijiang University. In the case of a mental overdraft, poor Kurumi did not even hear the voice Xiaolu shouted before. As if inadvertently glancing at Li Jiayu, who was stunned there, the weak appearance of a sissy was remembered in his heart. To broken bar. I don't know why a broken bar. I want to see him wearing women's clothes. He must be gorgeous, right? Thinking of this, the corners of his mouth curled into a smile, causing the people who passed by not far away to stare blankly. Bodyguards surrounded Kurumi, and the eyes of those people were fierce like wolves and tigers. They constantly glanced at every person who passed by, checking out all unstable factors. They were a little scared. The people who attacked the young lady only lacked human flesh bombs to be used, and other sinister tricks were tough to guard against. Xiao Wangqing and Fan Heiqiang saw this situation, but they still braced themselves and walked over. Other than seeing this scene at the head of state, it was the first time they had seen so many people protecting a little girl. It might not be just these people. Broken bar. Li Feng's gaze swept across every part of their bodies. He did not search their bodies, so it could be said that they respected each other. Let the two of them walk in through the gap. As for the other department heads, I'm sorry, that's too troublesome. You can wait outside. Although it was a bit overbearing, no one expressed dissatisfaction. Moreover, they had just been shot yesterday. This kind of tight protection was also understandable. The two female bodyguards used their bodies to block the best point of view, intentionally or unintentionally. The two of them were the ones following the young miss. They could be considered members of the Tokisakis family, like dead soldiers. When necessary, she would sacrifice her life for her master without even blinking her eyes. Xiao Wangqing. The young woman dressed in a professional old dress politely extended her hand. Kurumi blinked her eyes and looked at the principal in front of her. She sighed in her heart. Sure enough, she was called sister by Li Jiayu. In her previous life, she had risked her life to save her. She had never seen such a beautiful person on earth. Not to mention her unique temperament and gentle personality. She would intoxicate even a man. However, he heard that she had a cold personality. Then her husband. A broken bar. Reaching out to hold the jade hand, Kurumi gave it a soft hand and pointed out her fingers like scallions. Kurumi Tokisaki. Fan Heiqiang also wanted to come up and join in the fun. As soon as he reached out his hand, he saw Kurumi nod at him without the slightest intention of performing international etiquette. He quietly withdrew his hand, and with a smile on his face, he began to lead the way and introduce the history of the development of Xijiang University, doing his best to curry favor with Kurumi. His fat body made a relatively funny movement, and his behavior was highly flattering. However, the method of welcoming Xiangqing was not a little rusty for many years, but it still opened the eyes of the department directors on the side, and they sighed that they had lived for half their lives in a dog. Chapter 68. Ding Cheng. Kurumi responded to him with a smile that was perfect and elegant. The words that occasionally came out of her lips made the smile on Fan Heiqiang's face even wider, and the wrinkles kept stacking together. Even if there was a man's care on his fat face, it still could not withstand the oil light on it. He estimated that it could be made into an oil lamp to light if he scraped off a layer. Xiao Wangking, who was on the side, sometimes interrupted to make up for the history that Fan Heiqiang revealed. However, he didn't feel embarrassed at all. Instead, he kept saying that Principal Xiao was very talented and considered a famous, capable woman in Tannan province. Although he was disgusted with some people who hit the snake and hit the stick, especially those who said it unintentionally, he would undoubtedly feel very comfortable. This was the charm of language to enjoy. A broken bar. Hey, who do you think that is? Who made the usually proud Fan Beast treat him so carefully? Hey, brother, you should keep your voice down. Don't let Fan Heiqiang hear you. Otherwise, you will remember us later. There is no place to cry. The tall man immediately realized his mistake and hurriedly distanced himself. In Xijiang University, Fan Heiqiang was even more domineering than a tyrant. He could be said to be the representative of cancer. The man with glasses was a little speechless. I say, big brother, you can't even tell that there is a group of bodyguards around him. I'm afraid that even the school director doesn't have this attitude. Can Fan Heiqiang be careless? Then he pushed his glasses and pretended to be deep in thought. If it is someone who can come to our school at this time, I'm afraid it's a popular rumor on the internet. A broken bar. The eldest daughter of the Tokisakis financial group. Seeing the bespectacled man nod, the other two frowned again. They felt that there was something wrong with this reasoning. A broken bar. They looked at the side of Kurumi's face once again. That little girl is simply too beautiful. Oh right, a broken bar. Didn't the eldest daughter of the Tokisaki financial group come to our school to be an exchange student? How old is she? 16, 17, no more, right? She looks young. If she is an exchange student at her age, she can accept it. The figure of a 16 or 17-year-old is also hard to say. Isn't that right, Yan Jing? Yan Jing's shoulder was slapped hard, and their disproportionate figures made him stagger. The phone in his hand almost flew out. He rubbed his aching shoulder and glared at the tall man like he was looking at a retard. Do you know how strong your hand is? It hurts a lot to pat it. The complaining tone made the tall man very embarrassed. He wanted to say something but was attracted by Yan Jing's phone. Tokisaki Financial Group's heir, Kurumi Tokisaki, is 16 years old and has been called a genius by society since childhood. As known now, she was proficient in the languages of the 12 countries. Her business talent was unknown, but how many business people she had contacted had a very high valuation of here. A broken bar. The above came from Kiandu Bay Ike. My god, is it true? These a broken bar. Do you feel that you have lived on a dog for more than 10 years? I think we are similar. A broken bar. Although Fan Heiqiang was middle-aged, his hearing was not much weaker, especially those related to him. His ears were even better than young people's. When he heard the students talking from a distance and was about to continue testing Kurumi, the two dog-like school directors came. After a moment of concern, he began to ask about old Master Tokisaki's physical condition, acting as if they were very familiar with the person in charge of the Tokisaki financial group. Intentionally or unintentionally, he dismissed Fan Heiqiang and talked about the recent international events. When he noticed that Kurumi had no interest in this, he immediately changed the topic and began to talk about his views on business, showing that he had the intention to cooperate with Tokisaki financial group. Fan Heiqiang had a smile on his face, but he scolded these two old foxes all over in his heart. Is he relying on his territory to bully people like this? When that old guy dies, see if I don't play you two to death. At this time, the roar of a sports car attracted his attention. A broken bar. Ding Cheng was pleased these days. It was almost time for school to start. What did this mean? This meant that another batch of cute elementary school girls was coming to Xijiang University. Some of them came early and had already lived in the dormitory. A few days ago, he saw a girl from the art department on the registration form. TSK, that little face was gorgeous. To take such a beautiful photo, there was no need to say much about the real person. The few younger brothers who helped him select the prey in the school had informed him yesterday that the girl was coming. This made him very excited. But it was a pity that there was a gunshot case in the city yesterday, making him not dare to show his face easily. He endured the desire for the whole day, and today, he must get that little girl in a few hours. In the early morning, he ran to the barbershop to make a fashionable big back hair, sprayed some men's high-end perfume on his body, drove the red Ferrari 458, and felt that it was very good. It was also true that although his father was not good-looking, he had a mother with good genes. Growing up in an environment where he was not short of money, he had almost no worries. His tall and handsome appearance also had an unrestrained temperament. In addition, he was young and rich, and the girls in Xijiang University had a lot of hope to spend a good night with him. A broken bar. Of course, it was a joke. Although there were a lot, most of them were still for money. A broken bar if you were for his muscular figure and handsome appearance. The roar of the Ferrari 458 resounded arrogantly in the street. Although there were a lot of luxury cars in Xijiang, the other drivers recognized that this sports car was expensive and carefully pulled away from it. Otherwise, if they touched it, it would be white silver. The boys who saw it all gnashed their teeth when the car drove into the university. This guy ruined many beautiful girls in the school. Why didn't those girls learn from their mistakes and have unrealistic dreams all day long? Jealousy and jealousy. Most of them were jealous. If they were rich, they would probably be more arrogant than Ding Cheng. A broken bar. When they entered the campus, they saw a beautiful girl running over. Ding Cheng, who was born with a flowery personality, whistled to attract the attention of this beauty. Unfortunately, she did not turn her head. Feeling a little depressed, he saw from the rearview mirror that she seemed to be chasing a boy. Broken bar. He shook his head speechlessly and continued to drive in the direction of the girls' dormitory. Halfway through, he met a series of Mercedes-Benz cars with license plates stopped there and whispered, "Which big boss is coming today? Don't disrupt my plan of picking up girls again a broken bar." Before he finished this sentence, he saw a group of black suit bodyguards crowded with a few people. Among them, there seemed to be his father. A broken bar. Chapter 69. Banquet. He sighed and had no choice but to park the car aside. He didn't even care about the large bouquet of roses in the front passenger seat. He didn't want to do this either, but his father said that when he saw him provoke a little girl in school, he would break his dog legs. Breaking a dog leg was probably not possible because he had a most protective mother, but cutting off his pocket money a broken bar. This was a bit unacceptable. After all, that was his biggest capital for picking up girls. In this world, if there were no light, wine, and green, he would probably go crazy. After saying so much, it was actually because his father had a good face. His competitor constantly mocked him for having a useless son, causing the school to be in chaos all day long. Ding Cheng was naturally speechless. Even without him, many wealthy people came to Xijian University to pick up girls all day long. Why don't you ask them? If not for the fact that you are familiar with your son and our friends who play together a broken bar. As for whether Ding Cheng had such courage, it was tough to say. He raised his foot and walked towards his father, but in his heart, he was thinking of learning a few moves from his friends when he went back. How could he make himself look like he was working hard, but he could spend his time in secret? He was very yearned for this kind of life. The closer they got, the more the bodyguards noticed Ding Cheng, who was full of the aura of tall, rich, and handsome, but they did not relax their vigilance at all, and their eyes that were like tigers and wolves made his heart shiver. It seemed that this big boss had a great background, and it was good to get familiar with him through his father's relationship. A broken bar. Director Ding inadvertently glanced and saw his son's sports car coming to the campus. He was trying to drive in the direction of the female dormitory. Good boy. If this matter is because of you, it will leave a wrong impression in the heart of the heir of the Tokisakis financial group. No matter how much that woman tries to stop me, I will break your legs. The other director and Fan Heikian were pleased in their hearts. With such a deceptive existence, it was the greatest help to them. With this comparison, wouldn't the outcome be determined? As a result, Ding Cheng, that brat, exceeded everyone's expectations and directly walked towards them. At this time, Ding Dong was both happy and worried. He was delighted that the brat did not embarrass him in front of so many people. He was concerned about what if this brat acted exaggeratedly in front of this girl, like a mother if you know the child. Ding Dong also felt that there was nothing wrong with the sentence, but in essence, he thought he knew more than the woman at home. That brat was simply the same as when he was young. Looking at him now, when he thought of his father's disappointment when he was young, Ding Dong felt that he agreed with the words Heavenly Tao reincarnation punishment is unhappy. There was nothing wrong with showing his unique side in front of such a beautiful woman, as long as you were still an ordinary man. This kid should not use his usual method of picking up girls on Tokisaki a broken bar, otherwise, he would become an idiot who didn't know that Ding Cheng was like him when he was young, and what his son could do. He would be labeled as a person no matter if he could do it or not. But the girl in front of him a broken bar was so calm that it was terrifying. For someone like him who had lived for half a lifetime, it was tough to deal with her. Every time he talked about business, she would bring him out without anyone knowing. Was she only 16 years old, or was she worthy of being the next heir of the Tokisaki financial group? Thinking about these things, he naturally stopped talking and glanced in the direction of his son from time to time, causing everyone to look in that direction unconsciously. When Ding Cheng was still guessing which big boss it was, he saw everyone looking at him. That scene made him carefully swallow his saliva, his back straight, and his movements a broken bar. It was like he had just come out of the army. Looking at his son's bright and handsome face, Ding Dong sighed in his heart. He looked like himself. If others knew this sentence, they would look at him with strange eyes. How could he not know what he looked like? In this scene, the bodyguards naturally wouldn't ignore it. They carefully scanned their bodies and let Ding Cheng enter this small circle. When Ding Cheng was still thinking about greeting the big boss, he realized that they were all familiar people. There was only one girl, a broken bar so beautiful that she was bubbling. Seeing his son staring straight at Kurumi, Ding Dong felt that it was over. He quickly opened his mouth and wanted to call back this bastard who had escaped to who knows where. Ding Cheng, Ding Cheng, Ding Cheng. He shouted 3 times in a row before he came back to his senses. He turned to look at his father. His mind turned, and he was immediately scared into a cold sweat. This so-called big boss a broken bar, could it be this gorgeous girl a broken bar? Then wouldn't she be the heir of the Tokisaki financial group that was widely spread in the past 2 days? My God, it took people's lives. What did I do just now? Why did I keep staring at her? Will I have a wrong impression of her? How should I open my mouth later? And how can I attract her attention? Well, the more I think about it, the more I think about it. He quickly put on a dog-like smile and walked to his father with a smile. These are all elders who have seen each other all the time. You should be familiar with them. As for these a broken bar, Ding Cheng followed his father's words and saw Kurumi. The amazement did not dissipate. Her beautiful face was breathtaking. This is the young lady of the Tokisaki financial group. You young people should have more topics to talk about. Coincidentally, you are also familiar with Xijian University, so I told Tokisaki about it all the way. How could Ding Cheng not understand what she meant? Wasn't it just that young people should communicate more and promote the pure friendship between men and women? But he was familiar with Xijian University. That was right. He was familiar with every piece of land and even went to the girls' toilet. But if it were about history or broken bar, forget it. He had no idea how many departments the school had. and people didn't know. But can this be said? Ding Cheng felt that he could make this big miss laugh and talk about those rigid things like an older man. Stop messing around. He especially reached out his hand, preparing to use international etiquette with Kurumi. It was still his left hand that stretched out, intentionally or unintentionally revealing the limited edition Asian Rolex that was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Ding Dong was watching from the side and wanted to hit someone. Fan Haiqiang and the others had been holding back their laughter. What did this mean? Showing off their wealth in front of the big miss of the financial group? Was there something wrong with his brain? Seeing that Kurumi had no intention of shaking hands with him, Ding Cheng withdrew his hand with some embarrassment. As Fan Haiqiang had expected, he used the skills of picking up girls on Kurumi and changed his hair to make her laugh. However, Kurumi found it very interesting. How could this person be so stupid? Was his brain short? A broken bar. After rejecting the invitation of others and making it clear that he would fly to Haitian City after dealing with the matter, there was a banquet there. When Ding Cheng heard this, he firmly remembered it in his heart. A broken bar. Chapter 70, First Sight. Haitian City Banquet. And it's been a few days. It seems that his boss family was also invited. I heard that it was a charity party held by the influential people over there. Haitian City. I heard the boss say that there was a young family over there. TSK were famous throughout the entire Shan province. If he could be born into such a family, he could genuinely walk sideways, unlike him, who looked strange all day long. In fact, in the circle of the second generation of Xijiang City, he could only be considered a middle-class figure. If it were for a city like Haitian, no one would pay attention to it, right? After sending off Kurumi and the others, they saw their father sighing and sighing. After saying hello, they returned to their car. As for picking up girls, forget it. Right now, he didn't like the girl from the art department. Compared to Tokisakis, it was said that the contrast between Hao and Yinghua was a little too high. Ding Cheng thought about this matter about Kurumi and started the car. He picked up his phone and dialed number. Hello, boss, it's me. Yes, I have something to talk to you about. A broken bar. Ding Dong and Tokisakis sighed as they walked to the office. It was as if their backs had aged a bit. What do you think this is? Not to mention the intention to cooperate. Even the exchange student they had agreed on, in the beginning, seemed to have been ruined. Could it be that a broken bar the two of them weren't suitable to hang out in business? Or could it be that this girl didn't play according to common sense? Yes, it was the second type. No matter what, she couldn't deny herself. Fan Haiqiang sneered as he watched all of this. He couldn't get any benefits himself, so why were the two of you showing off like idiots? That Ding Cheng would also be stupid. He was worthy of inheriting his father's excellent genes. Xiao Wangqing didn't feel anything about this. She was a woman. She didn't have such a big heart and still wanted to climb up. It was just a simple task sent by the school. It was almost noon. She still had to pack up and eat. However, those few people were indeed quite stupid. However, 3 rich generations still spoke a bit of reason. They could still squander the capital of their previous generation struggling to start a broken bar. It would probably be over if no one could stand out for their descendants after they died. A broken bar. Kurumi, sitting in the car, began to feel sleepy again. She wanted to narrow her eyes for a while, but she unconsciously leaned against the car seat and fell asleep. Shi Yi and Shiju, the 2 female bodyguards, called the car to drive directly to the residence of Kurumi in Xijiang. A few days ago, this was only bought after confirming that Kurumi had come to Xijiang University as an exchange student. Although Kurumi had fallen asleep, as long as there was a trace of danger, she would be awakened, no matter how tired her mind was. After all, this was one of the necessary skills for reincarnation to survive in the main god space. As for those that he had not learned, it was estimated that she would not be able to see her figure for a long time. It was a pity that the leaders of the Xijiang branch seemed to be on the battlefield. They were nervous for a long time. Even the food in the canteen had reached the highest standard today. In the end, a phone call made them not know whether to laugh or cry. A broken bar. The young miss had fallen asleep. A broken bar. Why is this busy for half a day? Just when people were about to relax, the leader gave an order. These days, they follow this pattern in the morning. Maybe the young day would provide a surprise inspection. It's good that the employees are fine. That management, especially those sitting in the office, have to watch the computer for me and pretend to be working. Don't wander around all day. Since the leader has already spoken, what else can we do? A broken bar. However, Kurumi had no intention of checking at all. It was almost the end of the world, so why would she care about business issues like this? If it were for the headquarters of the Yingzhu, or the weapons, biological research facilities under them, there was still the value of a control. These were used to make money. What could they do in the apocalypse? Was money valuable? Even that was hard. Kurumi didn't have any thoughts about the financial group. That is impossible. It is the first time that Master God gave such a good identity. If she doesn't make good use of it, it will be too bad for her good intentions. What do you think will be the choice, to start a dog or a huge force? If there is time, she will try to control some of the management of the financial group. However, if there were thorns among those inheritors, they should suppress them with heat weapons in the early stages. The ones who could suppress the overall situation were the powerhouses who rose in the apocalypse. If there was an inheritance selection, there might as well give it a try. A broken bar. A broken bar. Ding Cheng talked to a thin and white man in the dim KTV room. Brother Kai, hasn't there been a charity party in Haitian City recently? Can you bring me along? The white-skinned young man smiled. Why did you suddenly want to participate in this kind of banquet? Isn't it the most disgusting thing in the past? I remember someone saying, I don't want to participate even if I spend the night in the bar. A broken bar. Don't. Ding Cheng hurriedly stopped him from continuing. Brother Kai, don't talk about me with those dark histories. I want to gain some experience this time. Tell the truth. Ha, ha. Ha! Ding Cheng laughed dryly. As expected, Nothing can be hidden from Brother Kai. Broken bar this time. I have taken a fancy to a girl. The fair-skinned man seemed to be interested and put down his legs. According to you, that girl is also going to attend the party. But I haven't heard that in Xijiang City, other than my family, who else is invited? That girl has a big background. Tell me, who is it? I might even know her. I can help you when the time comes. The fair-skinned man picked up the wine cup in front of him and handed it to his mouth. Ding Cheng, a veteran in flowers, was a little embarrassed. He looked at the book and slowly opened his mouth. Kurumi Tokisakis PFFT. Cough, cough. Brother Kai spat out the wine in his mouth and asked, Tokisakis Financial Group young lady? Looking at Ding Cheng in front of him, who did not speak, with a look of surrender, Brother Kai shrugged. I can take you there, but I can't help you with this. I do know her, but she doesn't know me. Before Ding Cheng, who was full of excitement, spoke, Brother Kai's face became serious. Don't cause trouble for me in there, or you can deal with everything yourself. I can't pull you out alive among a group of children of nobility. Don't worry, Brother Kai. I'll go and take a look. I won't cause any trouble. The fair-skinned young man nodded, but he had a bad feeling in his heart. A broken bar. Was it a wrong decision to take the boy with him? A broken bar. Leisure time always passes very quickly. In the past 2 days, Kurumi stayed at home and did nothing. She had a good experience of his previous life on Earth, but it was much more upscale. The banquet was at night. Early in the morning on the 22nd, Kurumi took a private plane to Haitian City. Then, the branch there was busy again. There were many other arrangements. The moon slowly rose, and the vitality of Haitian City did not decrease in the slightest. A group of second generations dressed in high-end custom-made suits surrounded the tall and handsome young man in the middle. They did not enter the venue and just began to chat outside. Brother Yang, a crisp female voice echoed in everyone's ears, and they turned around to look. Yang An's attention was not on the woman. Instead, it was attracted by the figure that had just come down from the extended version of the phantom behind her. Chapter 71, Family Crest. The unique little black dress was very good for the figure, and it matched with the 2 black ponytails. The creamy white skin was a sharp contrast to the pure black. Her delicate face was not covered by makeup, but even the moonlight was inferior to her. The wine-red pupils looked up and collided with Yang An's eyes. There was no trace of impurity in her limpid eyes. She was pure, like an innocent person who was ignorant of the world. But that hint of red wine deeply tempted people's souls. She lowered her eyebrows and only paid attention to her feet. The mental fatigue did not bring her any dispirited expression. Half of her eyes had a different kind of laziness. She expressionlessly approached the venue. That casual sweep in the middle of the way made Yang An's heart beat violently a few times. No one would ever imitate that kind of temperament. The silent arrogance in his eyes aroused the desire of others to conquer him. Even Yang An was like this, let alone those men. His soul was almost attracted away, simply better than the most charming poppy in the world. People like them had played with many women, except for a few highly self-disciplined people. There were both identities and backgrounds. Naturally, there was no lack of money. If one hooked their fingers, the goddess in the eyes of others would immediately take the bait. Even the so-called school beauties were often seen. These people were all existences that they regarded as playthings. How could one find such a woman when they were married? True love? It would not be easy to find 1 out of 100 people. The older generation's thoughts were all well matched. This way, they could deepen the cooperation between the 2 families. As for no feelings, it doesn't matter what are feelings. Don't feel the need to be cultivated slowly. Put the 2 children together. After a long time, how could nothing happen? Moreover, he wasn't ugly, and even if he were ugly, he would still be washed clean by the occasional beauty gene. Moreover, technology was so advanced, and he didn't have much to worry about, except for those young people who couldn't stand the temptation. Of course, Yang An was an exception in this. Sometimes, he would ask a few times a day, and even if he wasn't very clear about it, he didn't show any signs of weakness. It was as if he was born with a family background, and with his methods, all the second generations of the entire Shan province were led by him. Which of those noble children were not proud and arrogant? How could they bow down to others so easily? There were also a few people who could compete with the Yang family, but strangely, there were few males in the family and many beautiful girls. Those brats were usually arrogant to the extreme, and unless there were elders present, they would not care who they were. But after meeting Yang An, he could not help but feel that this person was really a broken bar too good. After a conversation, they would drag him to become sworn brothers in ancient times. Even if this was the case, they were willing. There was no need to talk about those girls. After hearing all kinds of rumors about Yang An, it was as if he would be deified. Some were curious, some were disdainful, and some did not care at all. In the end, when they saw Yang An, they immediately had the urge to rely on him for the rest of their lives. He was simply the best man in the world. When the old guys saw this scene, they were quite speechless. After talking with Yang An for a while, their hearts were surging. This youth surpassed the master and surpassed the master. If he were given some time, the entire Shan province would probably become his backyard. But unexpectedly, there was no anxiety in his heart. On the contrary, he had a feeling that the younger generation had grown up. One by one, he pushed his daughter and granddaughter to Yang An. The most powerful one wanted Yang An to marry his great-granddaughter first. Oh right, his great-granddaughter had just been born. As long as people from all sides met Yang An, their evaluation would be very high, and it would almost be blown to the sky. Golden scales were not just things in the pool. They would transform into dragons when they encountered a storm. This was the first time Yang An, who lived under all kinds of halos, encountered someone who caused his emotions to fluctuate violently. There was no communication, Just a simple look at each other. A girl who raised the word beautiful again felt that this was what he wanted. A broken bar cough cough. The young lady from the Yao family coughed a few times before summoning everyone's souls back. You can't even see the hem of someone else's clothes. And you still look over there. You're just like a fool. Seeing Yang and smile at her without a care, her large eyes seemed to flash with stars. Of course, I didn't say Brother Yang. She turned around and saw the group of young men deep in thought. She said fiercely, when will you have Brother Yang and completely? Oh no, 1%. I believe you don't have to rely on your family background to hook up with those bitches. Ha ha ha, of course. Xiao Miu Miu will say whatever he wants. How can we compare to Brother Yang? The teasing tone made Yao Miu Miu so angry that his cheeks turned red, and everyone laughed. By the way, do you know who the girl who just entered is? Hearing this, Yang and raised his eyebrows as if for broken bar he was looking forward to continuing. I have never seen such a person in the Shan province. She is so beautiful. There must be some news about her. Maybe a broken bar. She's from the aristocratic families in the other provinces. Yao Miu Miu was a little uncertain. PFFT. A young man in a white suit laughed aloud, attracting Yao Miu Miu's glare. He hurriedly waved his hand. Did you see which car she got down from just now? It's a Rolls-Royce Phantom. Recently, I've just gotten my hands on one. Are there any other signs on it that you haven't noticed? Other signs? Yang and carefully recalled. It seems that there is an inconspicuous little sign behind the rear window. Pa. The youth in white snapped his fingers. As expected, Brother Yang was the one who observed it. Guess what it is? All right. Could you not keep us in suspense? Hurry up and say it. It's time for us to enter the venue. That's right. Hurry up and say it. It makes my heart itch. The youth in white sighed. Aren't you guys too impatient? You can't take it without saying a few words. It's a round dark gold badge. The clock, the hour and minute hands inside are two guns. If you can't guess it, then you're just idiots. Yao Miu Miu thought of it in an instant and blurted out, Tokisakis Financial Group. No, it's the family badge of the Tokisakis family. I heard that it was drawn by the young lady when she was young. Are you surprised? I didn't expect it to be a super beautiful girl. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and do your work. The real opportunity to reach the sky in one step is waiting for you. The young man in white clothes looked excited. He glanced at the restless people in the circle and then looked at Yang and smiling. This time, we can't let Brother Yang go first. Otherwise, we will probably be ruined. Ha, that's right. Brother Yang, wait for us to fail before going up. It just so happens that the eyes of the young miss of Tokisakis family light up. Perhaps tonight will be the night of spring. Yang and hurriedly waved his hand. You all think too easily. Go. All of you go in. Stay outside all the time. If you don't know, you might think that we are welcoming guests. This is boring. Which person in the Shan province doesn't know our Brother Yang? A broken bar looking at the group of youths in a stress walking towards the venue. Yao Miu Miu stomped her feet fiercely and chased after them. Chapter 72, Ring of Light. It was true to say that it was a charity party, but the most important thing was still a business gathering. The final donation was just a little bit. In any case, it wasn't open. There wouldn't be any blind media that would report some bad things. He brought his juniors and nephew, holding a glass of red wine, and shuffled through the crowd, looking for friends who were familiar with each other to see if they could pull up a wave of business. In this kind of banquet, very few people soared into the sky. The appreciation of the big shots revealed a bit of resource from their fingers. As long as they were good at operating, in a few days, another family would rise. The party was also divided into different classes. The big shots naturally sat together with the big shots. If one of the people in the middle could specially greet you, you would become the central figure in your circle. This kind of person, the weight of a single sentence, was even more terrifying than the connections you had accumulated for dozens of years. That kind of person was mainly young and talented. There was almost no older man who had anything to do with it. After all, when he heard the words of praise from his peers, a broken bar, no matter how he looked at it, he felt ashamed. And the absolute leading figure in the younger generation of the Shan province would have to be Yang. In the eyes of people, the leading methods that surpassed your imagination were not suitable to expand his business and political field. Only an iron-blooded army with that extremely sharp blade could allow Yang to grow quickly. With the support of various energies, it was estimated that sharp blade would be firmly grasped in his hand in less than a few decades, becoming a solid foundation for the Yang family to rise to the next level. Even Yang, who everyone thought highly of, was looking for a girl. A broken bar. Rich and powerful people generally would not bring bodyguards in, other than those with tremendous value. There was one beside them. Otherwise, if there were more, it would be like slapping the face of the banquet owner. However, Kurumi did not care about these messy things. Shi Yi and Shiju were close to each other, and Li Feng and the others had already sneaked into the venue, intentionally or unintentionally observing the people around the young lady. Unfortunately, the young lady was too conspicuous. The moment she entered, she attracted a portion of the people, not to mention the few big shots sitting in the front hall. After being reminded by the bodyguards, they rushed over without stopping. The people around were naturally curious. Their eyes followed the big shots and looked at Kurumi, a broken bar, and exploded in an instant. Fortunately, they were all veterans of the long-term business. That kind of unique feeling was firmly imprinted in their minds. They sank their hearts to think about it. Even if they were beautiful girls, they were not worthy of all the big shots getting up to greet them. Even if Yang En came, he went to greet the big shots. Such treat mean to broken bar. What kind of person was that girl? The old generals calmed down, but that did not mean that their children and nephews also had that kind of composure. Especially the kind of youth who was emitting hormones made the elders behind him cover their faces. How could they bring out this idiot? Rejecting the invitation of the big shots of Shan province, Kurumi did not want to sit with an older man. That was too out of place. Her purpose in coming here was to meet Yangon. By the way, she could donate some money and go back. It was said that Yangon's 4 great inheritances had already been obtained before the cataclysm. That was the so-called fate arrangement and was considered the child of fate. In the beginning, Yangon thought the same. It was only later that he discovered that he was just a puppet cultivated by fate. However, Kurumi did not think so. Looking at the last black plane, the one which could indeed be called the child of the plane was not the black and white jade, beauty broken by Yangon. To protect Li Jiayu, he had no choice but to die. He did not expect to encounter the 3 lives stone. He was reborn in another world that was similar to the wilderness. In just 3,000 years, he became a saint. His strength at the middle stage of transcendence was like the return of a king. What is the concept of a mid-stage transcendent in 3,000 years? It is rare to see the so-called epic gods in the last black. They can bow down to the river of time and roam the various worlds. Even the timeline can move a little. One by one, they have lived for countless years. Even the late-stage epic gods are few, not to mention transcending. Even Kurumi herself did not believe that she was not loved by the entire dark plane. This kind of template was even more arrogant than Long Eaton. No wonder he was called after becoming a saint. Her broken bar Dao ancestor Oten, hearing this name, felt very awkward. She kept thinking back to some lousy history during the middle and second illness period. A broken bar looking at Kurumi, who even refused the invitation of those big shots. Most people had the mentality to retreat. The gap was too big. Even if they went up, they did not talk to a younger girl than their children and nephews. Perhaps a broken bar let these young people go. Looking at the group of male beasts that quickly entered the estress, forget it. If they messed up, they would have to clean their butts. Those who thought their value was not wrong and were young and promising began to approach Kurumi slowly. However, they were constantly stopped by unknown people and talked about topics that were neither painful nor itchy. With their excellent self-cultivation, they naturally could not embarrass others. After a few words, they left apologetically. Then, they were stopped again. After 2 or 3 times, they finally understood that this group of people should be the girls' bodyguards in the dark. They shook their heads with a wry smile and walked to the young people similar to them. Those people naturally understood the situation and did not go forward. They just pretended to be casual and stole a glance at Kurumi. They hoped to meet her eyes. A broken bar. Those who were good at observing knew that they must have been defeated. They did not try it themselves. If they made a joke, it would not be fun. However, when Kurumi passed by them, the voices of discussion immediately became louder. All kinds of bragging were not necessary, so the 2 people did not know what they were bragging about in the end. The elders around them were speechless. You little brats, you have only been in contact with company affairs for a few days. How could I not know that your own business is so powerful? However, no matter how much they bragged, it did not attract Kurumi's attention. They walked far away. The 2 young men took a deep breath, as if the residual body fragrance in the air could make them become immortals. When they opened their eyes, they saw the elders glaring at them. Thinking about what they had just said, they immediately put on a smile and pretended to be grandsons. A broken bar Yang and successfully locked onto Kurumi, sitting on a sofa in the corner. If he couldn't see her at a glance, he was afraid that he was blind. Didn't he know that group of rabbit cubs kept looking in that direction? With a charming smile on his face, Yao Miu Miu, beside him, successfully turned into a love-struck fool. He casually took 2 glasses of red wine from the waiter and slowly walked towards Kurumi. The other failed youths were also observing whether this young talent, considered the most outstanding in the Shan province, could get close to that black rose. Li Feng and the others talked to him as usual, and the people showed a look of awe, looking at what they saw next. The most difficult person to deal with, Li Feng, had given way before he could even say a few words. Oh my god, this is too fake. Even Kurumi, who was sitting on a sofa, frowned unnaturally. Looking at Yangon, getting closer and closer, she stood up. The tall and handsome young man handed her a glass of wine and said with a smile, Yangon, Chapter 73, recognize him as a brother. Kurumi Tokisakis. She took the wine glass from Yangon and clinked it with him. When she saw Yangon walking towards her, Kurumi became alert, especially when Li Feng and the others had made way so easily. If not for she had no doubts about their loyalty, Kurumi would have thought that they had been bribed. However, it seemed very reasonable to Yangon. How could his halo be activated so early? Kurumi didn't have the confidence to resist the 2 auras. Even if it were for the body of an elf, didn't she see Yangon's aura? As long as it was a conscious species, it wouldn't be immune unless far more potent than her. But now, the difference between them wasn't that great. It was estimated that once the cataclysm began, Yangon's strength would increase exponentially, and it was possible that he would directly surpass Kurumi. It couldn't be helped, as the heavens blessed him. As for killing Yangon, Kurumi did not have this idea. There was too much karma involved. It was too big of a change in the future for an unknown threat to do this. It was a beta broken bar. Moreover, she could not kill him. Right now, fate was already paying attention to the puppet he cultivated. It was better for this stud horse harem king to stay far away from him. How many harem palaces did he have had to do with him? As long as he did not soak in her, everything would be fine. A broken bar Yang knew how to grasp the boundaries and used everything he could to laugh at the girl before making his emotions fluctuate. From a close distance, he discovered that this young lady of the Tokisakis family was so perfect that she did not seem like a person of the world. It was as if our broken bar she had come from another dimension. Yang and believed that he had seen many of those so-called beauties. However, as long as it was a person, there would always be flaws in their food, and the only half of Kurumi's face that was revealed was like the work of a creator. The other half of her face covered by bangs did not reduce Kurumi's points. Instead, there was a sense of mystery that people wanted to pursue. which deeply attracted him. Yang and wanted to lift off the last layer of her veil. In his more than 20 years of life, it could be said that he had everything he wanted. The only thing that did not change was the desire to collect beauties. In front of Kurumi, Yang was struggling in his heart. He wanted to pick this tempting red spider lily, but he felt he was not worthy of her. Even when he reached out to touch it, he felt a sense of guilt. A broken bar. When Kurumi saw that Yang did not speak for a long time, she raised her little head in confusion. Her wine-red eyes once again met his eyes. It was as deep as the starry sky. Only she knew what Yang saw from within. He smiled freely. He wanted to chase this girl, just like an ordinary person, to have a relationship. He was not as promiscuous as before, only to extend his desires. This kind of person was suitable to be a wife. As for old Master Tokisakis, Yang felt that he could completely obtain his affirmation and was willing to entrust the beauty in front of him to him. He never doubted his ability to pick up girls. From a student to a so-called noble lady, he could eat her as long as she was beautiful. Even if Kurumi was difficult to deal with, he could do it with all his strength. If he let such a girl go, he would regret it for a lifetime. However, could reality be as he wished? After saying so much, apart from a slight smile initially, the guarded look in her eyes had broken Yang's heart. A broken bar. Kurumi had also been hit in the beginning. No matter how she was wary, once Yang got close, the power of that halo was simply unstoppable, especially when she was still mentally exhausted. If Yang continued to speak, perhaps Kurumi would have fallen by now, and she would probably only be able to react when he was far away. But halfway through, he was attracted by Kurumi's beauty. Without the support of words, the power of the halo instantly loosened a bit. Kurumi directly woke up. In the original work, even Li Jiayu, the seed of the world tree in this plane, was affected, let alone an outsider like her. Fortunately, when she raised her spiritual guard, Yang was just an ordinary person now. Otherwise, a broken bar. Obviously, under Kurumi's guard, Yang, who had countless flowery words, could only look at the sky in silence, but it gave him a greater motivation. This kind of girl was more challenging, right? At first, they talked about business matters in a cliché-copyright manner, but when they spoke with others, they were all influenced by the aura of an idiot. Although they were amazed by Yang's business talent, they still felt he was most suitable to join the army. Not to mention Kurumi, who has not been affected anymore. In the end, she said, "I am tired." A broken bar. Yang's failure made more people stop, but some people came up, and Kurumi's performance shocked everyone. Brother Kai took Ding Cheng and met other people in the venue. Brother Kai, who could walk sideways in Xinjiang, was also careful here. This was especially true for the people who knew about this. The power of the family behind him was so huge that it was unimaginable. The youth in white who had previously communicated with Yang was talking with Brother Kai. This was an opportunity that Brother Kai had obtained through many connections. If his family could tie up this thigh, he could radiate to the entire southern province. Seeing that Ding Cheng was not interested in all of this, he did not have the time to care about him. He gave a few instructions and continued to talk to the youth in white. He seemed very casual, but the pressure on Brother Kai was not small at all. When he saw Yang walking towards him, the young man in white patted Liu Kai on the shoulder. "All right, let me introduce my big brother to you. If you can tie him up, then you will truly be able to make it out alive." Brother Kai nodded with some confusion. His mind was in a mess. He had never heard that Yao Sen had a big brother. Could it be broken bar? Liu Kai's eyes lit up, and he saw a handsome young man with a helpless look on his face getting closer and closer to them. Along the way, there were constantly people greeting him. That kind of treatment to broken bar was like the level of a big boss. In the entire Shan province, this person was only Yang of the Yang family. "What, Brother Yang, you didn't succeed either?" Hearing Yao Sen's teasing voice, Yang seemed even more helpless. Go. I am much better than you. At least I can talk to her for so long." "Haha, that can't deny your failure." "How about girls from the financial group, especially those who have been raised as heirs since childhood? Is it tough to deal with?" Yang sighed. "It's not an ordinary difficulty to deal with. It's just that I can't handle it at all. For this kind of girl, maybe only after a long time has passed." "There's nothing wrong with what you said." Yao Sen raised his eyebrows. He poured the red wine into his mouth and said, "It's not what I want to say. If anyone can make that young lady laugh, I, Yang, will recognize him as my brother." Just as Yao Sen was about to end this topic with laughter, he inadvertently glanced at Kurumi and immediately opened his mouth in shock. "Brother a broken bar. Brother Yang, your young lady a broken bar is a museed a broken bar." Chapter 74, Scream in the Middle of the Night. "If you make fun of me, I will kill you later." Before Yao Sen could speak, Yang turned to look at him. Sure enough, Kurumi sat on the sofa and chatted with another young man. The man used a more exaggerated body movement and successfully made Kurumi cover her mouth and laugh. Brother Kai, who was standing on the side, was also curious. This young talent, who was known as the most outstanding in Shan province, did not attract the smile of the young lady of Tokisakis Financial Group. The man was also amazing. The Shan province is full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. He slightly moved his body a while. "Broken bar. Oh my god, isn't that Ding Cheng, that arrogant brat? These a broken bar." Yang had just said those words when he was slapped in the face by the speed of light. That scene was too shocking. What's more, the sentence "I, Yang, will recognize him as my brother," was said loudly, and everyone around heard it. At this time, he saw Yang's shocked expression. Those who do good things, 1 spread to 10, 10 spread to 100. Now, even the big shots sitting at the innermost end knew something or two. This time, it was a bit awkward. A broken bar. When Ding Cheng followed Brother Kai to the venue, he was excited. After 2 days, he finally saw the goddess again. In the end, seeing so many fantastic characters, he did not dare to run around blindly. Finally, Not long after, he saw the figure that haunted him enter, and he was about to say hello to Brother Kai and leave. As a result, Kurumi had successfully attracted everyone's attention. He could only be considered a little salted fish here naturally. He knew how much he was worth. He did not dare to go forward rashly. After the big bosses left, the excitement was almost solidified. Just as he wanted to go forward, the group of young talents from the Shan province beat him to it. He helplessly stayed where he was. Seeing that they did not even touch the edge of the goddess, he felt comfortable. He would not tell them he had talked to the goddess for a long time. Until Yang An paid a broken bar, Ding Cheng felt a bit of pressure, and the truth was the same. The goddess looked at him in a daze at the beginning. This was something Ding Cheng could not accept. The nameless anger in his heart ignited, but he still restrained the idea of going forward to beat up that person. Yang and Zora broken bar and the attention of everyone. It was enough to see how different he was, and he was probably mighty. If his father knew that he could think like this, he would excitedly jump up from the bed. This silly son finally understood and knew how to think. It was not easy. Seeing that Yang En was finally politely invited away by the goddess, Ding Cheng felt that it was time for him to go on stage. In all honesty, he did not overthink it. He just wanted to have a few words with the goddess in his heart. A broken bar unexpectedly, before he got close, he was stopped by the bodyguards. After repeatedly explaining his identity, he saw the young lady nod and let him in. At this time, everyone's eyes were on the somewhat helpless Yang En, and not many people noticed Ding Cheng. And Ding Cheng, the silly spore, naturally did not care about this. Seeing that Kurumi had no intention of getting up, he sat on the sofa casually. There was naturally a distance between them. He did not want to arouse the goddess' dislike. He also did not pretend to be profound. Using those skills that he did not understand, he usually liked to use the money to hit on girls. There were also those that he saw online, very old-fashioned. However, he was handsome, rich, and willing to spend money. However, it was just an average student. Those aristocratic ladies were too far away from him. That was why he could easily take the bait. He was not shy in front of the goddess. After 2 days of careful thought, he really could not find a good way. He found some jokes that made him laugh. Unexpectedly, the effect was perfect. Wasn't the goddess pleased? Her wine-red pupils looked at him gently. Ding Cheng felt that this was his entire world. Ding Cheng, who was immersed in his imagination, obviously did not notice that he had become the focus of attention in the entire venue, and even those big shots looked at him with curious eyes. A broken bar. Everyone looked at Yang En with playful eyes, full of black lines. This was the first time they had seen him suffer defeat in front of the same sex. Counting the time that Kurumi had suffered defeat in front of women for the first time, tonight was a lot of exciting things. To sit with the young lady of the Tokisakis financial group, this was a treatment that even Yang En did not have. In comparison, the background behind this young man should be pretty strong. Could he have come from the Yingzhou side? It was quite possible. Just as everyone was guessing Ding Cheng's identity, Yao Sen clapped his hands and attracted the attention of the people around him. I know. Isn't he the one who came with Liu Kai? He turned to look in the direction of Brother Kai. The people around also followed Yao Sen's gaze and saw Liu Kai, who had an awkward expression. Especially when Yang En, known as the Crown Prince of the Shan province, also looked at him. Brother Kai felt a great pressure on him. Hello, my name is Yang En. Under the envelopment of the halo, Brother Kai looked at the right hand in front of him and was immediately moved to a complete mess. What kind of person is this? The representative figure of the young elites of the Shan province. He wants to shake hands with him. This is incredible. Brother Kai feels that he should not rewash it after holding it this time. Trembling, he held Yang En's hand. Brother, a broken bar. Brother Yang, my name is Liu Kai. This is normal. Yang En thought to himself that Xiang-san was simply a different person. Can you tell me who the person chatting with Tokisaki is? I heard that you brought him in. After saying that, he turned his head towards Kurumi. Oh, you mean that kid Ding Cheng? He is the son of the director of Xijiang University. He is a waste. He only knows how to flirt all day long without learning anything. A broken bar. Brother Kai hurriedly shut his mouth. What did he say? Ding Cheng is a waste. What about Yang En? What about those young talents who did not talk to Kurumi? Isn't this digging a hole and jumping into it? Brother Yang, that's not what I meant. I mean that other than picking up girls, Ding Cheng is good for nothing in other aspects. No, that's not it. What I mean. Nice. A broken bar. Looking at Liu Kai, who was getting more and more flustered, Yang En was also embarrassed. All right. Just tell me if he has any background. Brother Kai swallowed his saliva and sorted out his words. No, absolutely not. He's just a good-for-nothing old man. His abnormally specific tone made the eyes of the young talents of the surrounding Shan province light up. Good boy. You have no background and still hit Brother Yang in the face. Isn't this courting death? If Brother Yang recognizes him as his brother, then what are we? Are we all his little brothers? It seems that we have to find a time to loosen his muscles and bones in the middle of the night. A broken bar. The charity party was very dull, but many fun things happened. Of course, it was all around Kurumi. In the dead of night, somewhere unknown, he suddenly let out an incredibly tragic cry. A broken bar. The next day, Kurumi did not see Ding Cheng. Liu Kai said that he had an urgent matter to attend to and returned to Xijiang first. How could Kurumi not know what had happened? It was just that he disliked the trouble and did not want to stand up for him. She wanted to use the last bit of time to go back to the Yingzhou home to take a look. Chapter 75, White-Eyed Wolf. As for how the Master God inserted himself into her identity, Kurumi had no idea. Although it was only a tiny part of it, she could not calculate how much power it contained. Or perhaps, the Master God only built a fake world and let Kurumi wander in there alone. But what was the point of all this? Kurumi could not resist. Her current identity was only a piece of reincarnation. To put it bluntly, she was a chess piece under the Master God. However, The value of this chess piece was abnormally high, and there was even the possibility of becoming a chess player. Kurumi did not think that all this was virtual. Everyone here had flesh and blood, and every expression and movement proved that they were real humans. If all of this was fake, then the amount of simulation calculations needed a broken bar. It was a little unrealistic. When you first entered the Master God space, you would always feel fear at night because you were always afraid. When would you die? And how would you die? Everything was unknown. After a few rounds of reincarnation, you will find that this place is similar to society. Those who are capable and ruthless will fly high. Those who are not capable can only linger at the bottom or disappear directly. No one will remember your existence. However, many influential people died because of being plotted against. Human desires were endless. Perhaps there were exceptions, but Kurumi did not see those kinds of people. They had all died in unknown corners. A broken bar. The night was the most exciting time for people to feel sad, but Kurumi slept soundly. It was not only because of mental exhaustion but also because she had nothing to worry about. Maybe a broken bar she could add a Sekibuzujima. She had been in this world for nearly 3 days, but her grandfather had never seen her before. She only saw a kind and amiable older man in a part of the memories received by the Lord God. However, this appearance should only be revealed in front of her granddaughter. Otherwise, how could such a vast business empire be built single-handedly? How could it stand tall after experiencing such a bloody storm? The feeling of being cared for was excellent through the phone, but unfortunately, this did not belong to the real self. Once the alien invasion began, all the forces on this planet would wash their cards again, and even the now formidable Tokisakis financial group had a great possibility of collapsing in an instant. And what Kurumi had to do was ensure that her interests were not harmed and that it would remain. If possible, she would establish a strong enough force, but before that, taking away everything useful to her was the best choice. A broken bar. In Yangan's career of hitting on girls, the most challenging thing to do was persist for 2 days before being captured and giving up his most precious first time, but he did not have any good ideas for someone like Kurumi. She did not know what to talk about, as if she was not interested in all the topics. Who knew how Ding Cheng made her laugh? As for the joke, he said, "Do you think we are fools?" He was about to sit with Tokisaki and still to quibble. Yang and told himself to calm down, but when he saw Ding Cheng's stupid look, he could not help but slap him. Forget it. Thinking about this was to anger himself. He invited Tokisaki to play tomorrow. As for the address, a broken bar, he had already inquired about it. As he was thinking about conquering Kurumi, he did not sleep well for the whole night. He woke up in a daze with a chicken head and dark eye circles. The following day, when he saw the time on the clock, he suddenly shivered. It was past 9:30. With speed far faster than usual, he quickly tidied himself up and posed in the mirror. Well, he was still so handsome. He felt that the flower was too cliché tilde copyright, and it always seemed that he had bad intentions. He directly went into the light and did not go to his old friends. He instantly drove to the hotel under the banner of Tokisaki Financial Group. Then he saw that the long version of the phantom that came to the venue yesterday directly went away. It drove away. Oh my god, Yang and is about to go crazy. How can he just come here to attend a party and leave? Shouldn't he spend some time appreciating the beautiful scenery of Haitian City? If it doesn't work, you can go wherever you want in Ashan province. Yes. She is going to inspect the branch of the group. It must be like this. I was just about to start the car. The phantom is not driving to her branch. This direction a broken bar seems to be the airport. Then there is no other way. Call Yukai and ask him to pay close attention to the whereabouts of Kurumi. First, if she wants to be an exchange student at Xijian University, she must inform him. He also wants to go there to get an exchange student. Although the intention was obvious, it could make a girl determined to be a man, right? Unfortunately, this time, Kurumi headed directly to Yingzhou. As for when they would meet again, that was still unknown. A broken bar. After smoothly flying across the sea, nothing unexpected happened. Li Feng and the others did not follow, only Shiju and Shi-san. Once again, they arrived at a place that Kurumi was more familiar with. However, everything here was different. There was no school called Fujimi Senior Academy, no Tokonozu City, and no dead body or broken bar. Even the characters and the name of the place were different. The car drove directly into the airport and arrived in front of the private plane that had just stopped. It surprised the people who came to travel and were unfamiliar with it. What kind of person could have such treatment? The people familiar with it saw the signs on the plane and the car and no longer made a fuss. Maybe old man Tokisaki just flew back from somewhere broken bar. No. I heard that the young lady of the Tokisaki Financial Group wanted to be attacked there. She should be back this time near broken bar. The car drove into a traditional Japanese old house. This was where old man Tokisaki lived together with Kurumi in her transmitted memories. It was already the night of the 23rd day. After dinner, old master Tokisaki dragged Kurumi and talked a lot. Kurumi endured the exhaustion in her mind and listened to his talk. Perhaps when he heard Tao-san was attacked, her heart was filled with rage. What kind of performance would he have when he was alone? His life had risen until now, and he had long been called a business legend, but it still could not stop the passage of time. Especially when his son and daughter-in-law both left, he could only focus all his energy on his remaining granddaughter. Watching her slowly grow up, Kurumi's performance did not disappoint him. A broken bar. It was time for her to contact the company's affairs. When he saw that Kurumi was still listening to his nagging despite his sleepiness, the corners of his mouth curled into a smile, and he told her to go rest. Sitting there alone, his somewhat turbid eyes seemed to flash with light. The matter of Kurumi being attacked appeared to be a bit less booming, but the person involved behind it was simply chilling. For the sake of the older generation, that group of ungrateful bastards turned a blind eye to you. Ever since he had the intention to retreat to the second line, They had started to compete for fame and profit, causing the group to be in a foul mood. Now, they had joined forces with outsiders to attack his only family. This was intolerable. Did they think that he could not find out, or did they believe that this older man was easy to bully? It was time to clean up the vermin. Chapter 76, Voice in the Mind. As a powerful and established financial group, there were many subsidiaries under them, and countless employment positions were provided. Although they had already begun to separate and reorganize, the market value constantly fell. The mighty people slowly lived behind the scenes. The power crossed among them. Even if the elite team of Jin Rong-I were to sort it out, it would still take a lot of time. They could only figure it out. It was vague, and it was extremely curious. The one at the top was naturally old Master Tokisaki. Although he had not appeared in front of the media for many years, his prestige was still there, and no one dared to provoke him easily. This time, those juniors annoyed him. Relying on the shade of the elders in his family, did he think that he did not dare to touch them? You have to know that even if you are in front of your father, you have to call him big brother. Honestly, I give you self-respect, but if you don't want it, you can't blame others. Only by cleaning up all the vermin would he be at ease to hand over such a vast business empire to Kurumi. Otherwise, he would feel uneasy. A broken bar at the same time, in a high-class residence not far from the group's headquarters, three figures sat on chairs, smoking cigars in silence. The smoke covered the entire study. Time passed by slowly, and it was particularly depressing. Sisley, the right hand with the jade ring on his thumb, pressed the cigarette on the table. He ignored the distressed look of the man opposite him and spat out the last smoke ring. If this goes on, it will be a waste of time. That old guy Tokisaki is very old. He probably won't have many years to live. Then you go up and try to fight him head on. The middle-aged man with the gold-rimmed glasses sneered. The three of us are not the same generation. Now we are overestimating ourselves against him. The man with the jade ring rubbed his eyebrows. Yiteng, I didn't mean that. I didn't expect to pay such a high price. Or our broken bar, you still haven't killed the eldest young lady, right? The man who had been sitting in the main seat, not daring to speak, was a little flustered. Watch your words. That was just an accident. When did we find someone to attack the eldest young lady? Ha ha ha. Song Ben, you are too timid. You don't dare to go up after being scolded by the old man at home? No, how could that be? The man named Song Ben sat down helplessly. I have said before that this method is not feasible. Whether it succeeds or fails, it will bring us great risks. TSK, you are going back the more you live. The dissatisfaction of the man in the jade ring was almost written on his face, and he used a very disdainful tone. Does that old Tokisaki dare to attack us? Does he not care about the face of his old brothers? That is also the face of your father, who died many years ago. Song Ben sighed. Isn't there a movement? Don't you realize that the power in your hands is slowly passing away? It was good to do it according to my method at the beginning. You didn't listen. Now that the mud fell into your pants, it is shit even if it isn't shit. Can you get a little brain? The three of us have sons. Who do you think will be sent to get the young lady? And the one who gets involved will serve well every day. When that old fellow Tokisaki dies, will he come to negotiate the distribution rights? Yiteng lit another cigarette and took a deep breath. I'm afraid that there will be people who will turn hostile and refuse to recognize people at that time. Ha ha ha, how can this happen to us three brothers? Seeing that the two of them were ignoring him, Song Ben laughed awkwardly and looked at the man with the jade ring. Dubayan, what do you think we should do? If we go on like this, we will likely be ruined by that old Tokisaki. What can I do? There are only two people in their family, and there are so many supporters. Do we have to fight here? Don't joke. This is Yingzhou, his territory. Let's do it with Song Ben's previous method. Let the younger generation of our family try it out. There is no need for any random talent. As long as something can attract girls' attention and make them happy, it will be fine as long as they are brilliant. What Dubayan said made Yiteng can't help but raise his eyebrows. Why is he so similar to one of his illegitimate children? After a few seconds of silence, he said, if we can get it, what should we do next? A broken bar? We will talk about it later. It is too late today. Go back and rest. A broken bar, be careful. The target has appeared. Try to kill all of them. The barely audible sound of the electric current swept through the forest, but no one could be seen in the trees. As Song Bayan sat in the car, the chill in his heart never stopped since he had just arrived at the Song clan. He also made up his mind that he could no longer look for Tokisaki's family. He had to find a way to control the young lady and slowly wait for that old fellow Tokisaki to die. He had nightmares and insomnia these past few nights. When he thought of the information he had inadvertently found after the couple plane crash more than 10 years ago, he felt a chill run down his spine. It was better not to get involved in this matter. Bang! A gunshot stunned him. The bullet from the sniper rifle almost pierced through the window. If not for the specially custom-made anti-bullet glass, a broken bar, he might have already gone to see God. The driver reacted quickly. Just as he was about to throw his employer to the bottom, another gunshot rang out. The expensive head on the side of the ferry exploded. Blood splashed all over the driver's face. The bodyguards ran to the car like crazy, only to see the unknown black and red behind the window. Number 3 target is to be hunted. Song Ben, staying in the high-end apartment, removed the burden in his heart. He could finally have a good sleep these days. He was getting more and more sleepy. There was even an unknown fragrance. A broken bar. The second target is to be hunted. Sizzly sizzly number 1. Sizzly number 1 target is lost. Sizzly failed. A broken bar. The moonlight shone on this traditional Japanese house. Insects were chirping again. A woman who looked like an ordinary servant slowly walked in. She poured a cup of tea for old Master Tokisaki and said softly, One of the prey ran away. Ding dash old master, your phone number. If it's those two old fellows, tell them that I did all of this. As for a reason, a broken bar, let them check it out themselves. Yes, a broken bar. Back in his villa, Yi Teng was now fully protected. He was hiding in the underground room. His eyes were red, and his body trembled slightly. The wound on his forehead was not in a hurry to deal with. Blood flowed through the corner of his eyes, making him unable to open his eyes. He hurriedly dialed his father's phone. Dad, you have to help your son this time. Yeah, broken bar, I was almost killed. It must be that old fellow who did it. Broken bar. Chapter 77. Preparing supplies. Kurumi was not clear about the massacre that happened in the night because of her. She only wanted to know what the voice that echoed in her mind was, as well as the blurry silver scene, as well as the deep desire that this body had for it. Holding back the desire, Kurumi was not sure what was there to unconsciously make herself want to go forward. It was simply like a weakened version of hypnosis. To play such a strong role at such a distance, one had to know that the strength of Kurumi's soul was far higher than that of ordinary humans. Didn't this mean that if the thing hypnotized ordinary people, it would be controlled by it using the worst point of view to speculate on other people's thoughts? She definitely could not rashly go forward and wait until she dealt with everything today. Firearms and bullets were indispensable. Those individual weapons had significant damage. As long as they were not affected by the electromagnetic pulse, they could all be taken away. However, her space backpack only had 30 grids. Other than other messy things, she could only carry 20 different kinds of weapons at most. It was even possible that there were only 10 types. It seemed that the ammunition was installed and not in position. The rest had to be calculated separately. It was a huge pit. However, this was enough. Kurumi did not want to bring so many. Which of the insects did not have a high armor? It was hard to say whether those guns were good or not. This was not a world where humans mutated into zombies. A gun could protect oneself before it was used up. In the final Black Plane, whether it was the Great Escape or before, or after arriving in Yong City, what was the most lacking thing? Wasn't it nothing more than food? For the same type of thing, each grid of the space backpack could be stacked to 999. As for why they couldn't go up, you had to ask God. This was already a super awesome new treatment. The bug's armor problem. There, Twilight Morning Star, still in the backpack, was enough. Other weapons were almost useless. Could it be given to someone else? Kurumi would not be so kind. It was better to have some grenades. Although it was a consumable item, it was only an early explosion. In the end, it was still uncertain if it could hurt the insect's shell. Regarding nuclear bombs and missiles, a broken bar, if it could be manually operated, a broken bar, but it was unrealistic for Mohai with its current technology. Of course, the other grids were stronghold food. Yes, they needed the kind that was worth 10 packs. It could also be considered a bug in the space backpack. The flour, a broken bar, forget it. It could be directly wrapped into a steamed bun. One bag could hold hundreds of them. Kurumi did not want to eat these things. They were all prepared for the group of people with dyed red clouds. In the past few days, her taste had been raised. Naturally, she would eat whatever was delicious. There were 999 dishes. She might as well have 5 different types of dishes. Even if she ate it early, middle, and later broken bar, she probably wouldn't be able to finish it by the time she broke through to legend rank. Naturally, there was no lack of water, clothes, and blankets. A broken bar, heavens. Kurumi scratched her little head in distress. How could she bring so much? Was she still the reincarnator who could endure any pain? A broken bar. She handed over the list she had listed to Shi Yi, and even the note was clear. Even though she was well trained, she couldn't help but twitch her eyes. A broken bar. What was the young lady doing? It was okay if it were for food and all sorts of daily necessities. But even if it were outrageous, it would only take a single word. But the 12.7mm caliber bullet theory box on top, and 999 boxes. Looking further down, a broken bar. The anti-tank grenade required 50 boxes, a total of 9,999 boxes, and all sorts of high-damage weapons, rare metal tungsten. A broken bar added together. There were a total of 10 types of broken bar. It was not difficult to take out any of them, not to mention the orders of the young lady, but with such a large number, a broken bar, was it going to be a small battle, or was it used for strategic reserves? He helplessly reported it to Old Master Tokisakis. After a moment of silence, he approved it. He didn't even ask about it. The extent of Old Master's love for the young lady was once again raised in Shi Yi's heart. Perhaps he would ask the young lady about it during dinner. Broken bar, but there were so many things that were produced without any orders. It was still effortless for someone to pay attention to them. There would probably be a lot of trouble when the time came. A broken bar. When the few old bosses saw the list pass to them, they were a little speechless. What was going on up there? Who would buy such a big package? Just as they were about to ask if the report was wrong, the order they received was to produce it on the list. The first thing to determine was what was needed in the military field. Several workshops were independent and began to produce quickly with the demand on the form. All of this was seen by the other personnel inserted in. A broken bar. Who ordered this? Is there going to be a war? How come I don't know? The Prime Minister slammed the document in his hand on the table. The Tokisakis financial group is getting more and more excessive. I know that there must be his people among you, but this must be explained to me clearly. Otherwise, if it falls into the hands of those dangerous people, who will deal with the disaster that happens? Is it you, or you? The 2 council members pointed at by the Prime Minister naturally didn't feel good. We haven't heard of this either. How could they push it onto us? What nonsense. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, every one of them had nothing to do with him. He was so angry that he felt like his lungs were going to explode. He fiercely slammed the table, resisting the pain in his palm. This time, we must give the Tokisakis Financial Group a deep lesson. The two council members were even more disdainful. Their expressions were all displayed on their faces. The others weren't any better. They were all mentally preparing themselves. Didn't you say earlier that you would teach them a lesson? In the end, didn't you just let it go? How did the last prime minister get changed? Do you have any idea in your heart? He responded weakly. He agreed very well. When he returned, he would investigate it thoroughly. When the time came, he would talk about the specifics. At this time, another document was transmitted over. According to the specific investigation, everything was mentioned by the eldest daughter of the Tokisaki family. The specific reason a broken bar is unclear. Looking at the documents in front of them, the council members almost laughed aloud. Just this? Since they didn't even need to find the reason themselves, wouldn't it be easier? They advised the prime minister, who was still angry. This might be because the little girl was frightened and felt unsafe inside. Didn't she encounter an attack a few days ago? This explanation was reasonable, and there was nothing wrong with it. The prime minister's stomach was about to explode from anger. When he returned home, he was exhausted and lying on a bed. This team was not easy to lead. During dinner, the atmosphere was a bit depressing. The older man did not say much. He only asked a simple question and stopped talking about firearms. This made Kurumi heave a sigh of relief. At the end, when Kurumi was about to return to her room, the old man said something that made her confused. While there is still time, let Shiyi take you to the headquarters building. A broken bar. The laboratory is on the 22nd floor underground to take a look. Chapter 78, Imprint the Future. Time, 1970. February. The specific date is unknown. Location, Yingzhou. The snow was still falling. The street lamps on the street seemed a little dim because of the years of disrepair. Tokisaki, wearing a worn-out cotton jacket, walked on the street. He looked at the other side of the road on the top of the mountain. The whole city was brightly lit. It seemed to be incompatible with this place. The economic situation is perfect. Doesn't it need more people? But he still hasn't found a job. Maybe a broken bar. This city has blocked me. In this situation, Tokisaki sensed that something was wrong. The speed of development in the past few years has been too fast. The financial industry seemed to have no bottleneck and kept rising. To confirm his thoughts, he made a decision that made him regret it until now. The company was bankrupt, and everything was gone. Fortunately, there was not much debt owed. Resisting the lofty looks of the people around him, he went to other well-developed companies for interviews. Sorry, you don't meet the requirements of my company. No, please find someone else. Hey, isn't this Tokisaki, old classmate? Let me tell you, you can't stay in this city anymore. I admire you for being able to do this in such a good way. Security or cleaning? I think there is nothing suitable for you except these two things. A broken bar. The property had been sold. Tokisaki and his wife returned to the old house on the mountain. His wife was very ordinary, but she was a standard good wife. Unfortunately, they did not have children. The air turned into white mist when they returned home and slowly dissipated. Have you found a job? Looking up at his wife, his eyes full of hope stung his heart, and he forced out a smile helplessly. No, it seems that this city has already swept me into the garbage. It doesn't matter. At most, we can change to another city, just like we have been new before. Let's eat first. Tokisaki nodded. He did not want to tell his wife. It was not like before, the difficulty of starting from scratch. A broken bar. Lying on the bed, he could not sleep. When he was middle-aged, he already wanted to calm down. He did not expect this to happen. The company's bankruptcy matter kept pressing down on his nerves. Sometimes, he had to take sleeping pills to fall asleep. This was not normal for a person in his 40s. Tomorrow, if he could not find a job, he would prepare to move to another city. Tokisaki thought like this. His eyelids closed down, and he inadvertently saw white light flash through the gap between the curtains. He got up like a demon and woke up his wife beside him. What's wrong? What happened? I can't sleep, so I want to go outside. It would be best if you rested early. Don't wait for me. He kissed her on the forehead. Be careful. It's slippery on the road. Remember to come back early. The little hand under the quilt was pale. The husband got up in the middle of the night and said he wanted to go for a walk. Just thinking about it made her feel that something was wrong. Could it be broken bar? She did not dare to continue thinking about it, but as a traditional Yingzhou woman, she could only follow her husband's heart. Crack a bang. The door was closed. She was nestled in the quilt. There was no warmth around her. She kept giving him blessings in her heart. She only hoped that nothing would happen to him. Hua Qingguang stood in front of the door and breathed out a white mist. The moonlight was just right, but the temperature in the air was not pleasant. During the day, it was already below zero. Now a broken bar. The melted snow on the road had turned into ice. He did not know why he had to go to the place where the thing fell, but he wanted to go in his heart. The cold wind in the air made him shiver. He found the general direction and headed to the destination. It was tough to walk, let alone the mountain road. Even on the road, even drunk, lazy people would not come out in such weather. The whole street was icy. In his mind, he kept thinking about the mythical creature as a broken bar. It was pretty exciting. He braced himself and continued to walk towards the darkness ahead. He had already arrived halfway. He couldn't give up midway. How long had he been walking? Half an hour or an hour? It was apparent that his view of time was very accurate. This was not normal. Looking back from this direction, the old residence was gone entirely. The originally brightly lit city also began to become silent. Moving his stiff frozen face, he continued to walk upwards. He had only taken a few steps when he seemed to hear a sound. It was like two people talking, but King Wing could not understand it. This was not Japanese, English, or Chinese. It did not sound like any language used by any country on Earth. The strange tone made King Wing very uncomfortable. They carefully laid on the cold rock and looked down. The two were not the lives of the Earth's species. They had heads similar to lizards and human bodies. Goosebumps popped up all over his body. He was not frozen. His face was pale. Those two creatures were not to be trifled with. Why don't I secretly run back? He made up his mind and wanted to turn around to slide down slowly. Suddenly, the two lizardmen seemed to be arguing loudly. It seemed like they were about to start a fight. King Wing did not want to care about these messy things right now. As for the white light, damn it, he just wanted to go home. Boom, boom. The lizardmen started fighting. The power that was not something a human could possess shook the mountain faintly. It was like a demon from the legends. King Wing straightened his body and ran down the hill. His speed was the same as when he was young. He would die here. The aftermath of a casual exchange between the two monsters could crush him 100 times. This kind of thing should be left to the self-defense forces to solve. Just halfway up the mountain, the shaking disappeared. King Wei looked back in shock. A broken bar. There was nothing else besides the snows that was still floating and the half moon in the sky. He blinked his eyes. Was it an illusion just now? Impossible. It didn't exist. Go home. Yes, go home. King Wei shouted, trying to wake up his muddled head. He spat out a white mist and ran in the direction of the old house. In his memory, a broken bar. Ice crystals on the mountain seemed to fly over and directly smashed into the distance in front of King Wei. With a flash of silver light, his eyes were almost blinded. A lot of images flashed past his eyes. When he was very young, he was in his mother's arms. The company went bankrupt, and his interview failed at the scene of the two lizardmen fighting each other in another city. The company was newly established, and its value doubled. His wife gave him a son. The economic bubble of the 90s. The rise of the financial group. In 1997, his son and daughter-in-law had a daughter. He had a granddaughter. Let's call it Kurumi. The scene changed again. Countless tiny cracks in the sky, electromagnetic pulse rushes, numerous natural disasters, and all kinds of strange and giant insects ate flesh and blood. A girl with strange eyes and a pair of guns. The civilization of humankind collapsed in an instant. A broken bar. When he came back to his senses, the sky in the east began to pale. There was a broken ice crystal object in his right hand. In less than half a month, a company named Tokisakis officially settled in the next city. Chapter 79, The Broken Godhead. On the morning of the 25th, a beautiful morning sun appeared in the east. The air was filled with a thin mist. The whole house was full of fresh smells. Kurumi's spirit was getting better and better. She was about to recover at the best time. Even so, her desire for a particular object in the southwest was not reduced at all. Instead, it was even stronger. The headquarters of the financial group was over there. The Tokisakis building was a local landmark. It is very eye-catching. Under the sunlight, every window was shining. It was densely attached to it like the scales of a dragon. The entire building went straight into the sky as if it were going to poke a hole in the sky. The roof had wind power and rain collection systems. Under certain conditions, the entire building could be self-sufficient. It could also be considered a big deal for the history of the current facilities. Sitting in the car, she was still thinking about what was there over there. Why was it so attractive to Kurumi Tokisakis? This could be considered an unconscious attraction. Could it be broken bar an angel? Impossible. Impossible. Kurumi shook her head. She pulled herself out of her fantasy and first went to the laboratory that the older man mentioned. Kurumi always felt that he seemed to know something. The entire financial group building was almost full of subsidiaries under the banner. There were very few other individual companies that moved in. However, those who could move in here were all businesses with close cooperation with the company under the financial group. Seeing the family emblem of Tokisakis' family behind the car, the security guard was surprised and hurriedly opened the railing. This car had not been to the headquarters for a long time. Did something happen recently? I heard that the three of them did not come to work today. A man in his 40s, sitting on a chair and smoking, returned. The young security guard was a little confused. Those three? Which three? I say, are you stupid? A broken bar. Oh, I remember now. The young security guard looked enlightened, and the middle-aged man curled his lips. Isn't it just the three directors Du Bayan, Song Ben, and Yi Tengsen? He turned around and thought that something was wrong. Hey, no, how do you know whether the directors are coming or not? How can we, small people, know? The middle-aged man leaning on the chair saw that another company's luxury car was coming. He did not speak but hurriedly smiled and pressed the bar to let it into the underground parking lot. He turned his head to look at the young man. Don't look at me like this. The current boyfriend of my 7th aunt's 8th aunt's son's classmate's girlfriend's ex-boyfriend is working in the department. He even has statistics on his bank card every day. Whether it's a cleaner or a chairman, they have to register with a card. Isn't it usually those few directors who are in the first place? Today, not a single sign is lit. That kid was still talking to me about this. The young security guard had not figured out the twists and turns inside when he saw the middle-aged man take out a cigarette box again. In the end, he found that it was empty. He quickly took out the excellent cigarette he was reluctant to smoke and gave it to the senior to serve him. The cigarette was lit. The middle-aged man was delighted. He had been in the group for so many years. At least he could be a security captain. However, he did not know how to enter. He could only stay here and guard the entrance and exit of one of the parking lots. Now, he brought a new security guard with him. These few days were comfortable. It was no different from sitting in an office. Can't you tell? Ever since old Master Tokisakis didn't care much about company affairs, the three directors were unusually diligent. Which month was not full-time? Maybe they wanted to give a good impression to their new boss. It's not here yet. It's a bit abnormal. Looking left and right, and when he was sure that there was no one else, he lowered his voice and said, The car just now might be old Master Tokisaki's precious granddaughter. It seems that she is also ready to intervene in the group affairs. The young security guard scratched his head and seemed very interested in the secrets inside. Didn't you say that the young lady of the group is only 16 years old? Can she play with those old foxes in the business world at such a young age? The middle-aged man had a look of caring for the silly spores. Old Master Tokisaki doesn't know how to teach. The outside world also called her a genius girl. A broken bar. The car stopped. As the bodyguard was about to open the door, Shiyi's phone rang. Hello, right, a broken bar. After hanging up the phone, she turned to look at Kurumi and said, Miss, the food and weapons you want have all been produced, but the cooked food broken bar is still working overtime, but the temperature is maintained at the moment when it is out of the pot. Kurumi closed her eyes and opened her cherry lips. Send those that are produced to the nearest warehouse. When I finish observing the laboratory, I will check it out. Yes, a broken bar. Yi Tengqing brought the girl he had just picked up to the group and was ready to show off his working environment to her. I heard that there is a floating restaurant recently. These people are better at playing. I must experience it. As soon as he got out of the car, he saw a few bodyguards in black suits walk around the three girls to the elevator. The one in the middle had two ponytails. A broken bar. He seemed to have seen her somewhere before. Unfortunately, he could only see her back. He shook his head regretfully. Seeing that the woman beside him was somewhat dissatisfied, he hurriedly hugged her. A burst of sweet words bombarded her, and she was so happy that she could not find her north. He embraced the woman's slender waist and felt the softness transmitted over. He was about to go upstairs when he passed by the Mercedes-Benz. He saw a dark gold badge from the corner of his eyes. His body stiffened, and he walked back again under the puzzled gaze of the woman beside him. He knew who the girl who had just walked over was. Wasn't this person in the photo his dear father had given him? The actual owner of this building was the young lady of the Tokisaki family. A broken bar. No matter what happened to Yi Tengqing, Kurumi did not know him at all. Shiyi and Shiju led her. After verifying all kinds of things, the laboratory door of the 22nd floor finally opened to her. Moreover, the intense feeling of urgency stimulated Kurumi's soul repeatedly. It seemed that the thing was likely to be here. The pure white laboratory was vast. It was divided into many rooms. Now they were walking towards the hall. The sense of science and technology was so advanced that it felt like they had returned to the starship of science and technology. However, there were very few people inside. There were only a few people. They were either wearing white clothes or silver protective clothing. No one paid any attention to them. This made Kurumi feel a little strange. When they were about to reach the hall, Kurumi's vision gradually became distorted. Her slightly red eyes were filled with confusion. It was as if she was walking in a space-time tunnel. However, her body was still the same as usual. Her footsteps did not change at all. Even Shiyi and Shiju did not notice anything wrong. The last door was opened. In the middle of the hall, there was a nearly transparent crystal suspended. If one did not look carefully, one would not notice it. In Kurumi's eyes, the crystal was emitting a silver radiance. She could faintly see herself in the divine might spirit. It meant a broken bar. Become a patron to read chapters ahead of public release and support me. Chapter 80, The Greedy God. The blood-red Gothic Lily wore a black lace dress with a Gothic Lolita hairband on her head and tied hair into a double ponytail. Her entire face was exposed to the air. The pupil of her left eye was a golden clock, and the minute vibration of the needle seemed to be recording the passage of time. A warm current suddenly passed through her body, as if she was in a sunny winter, and in the eyes of Shiyi and Shiju, this was not the case. More than 10 years had passed from the first time they saw the crystal, but they had never seen it move, not even a millimeter. But when the young lady arrived here, it turned into a silver light and shot into Kurumi's body. Shiju was a little flustered. Should we inform Master? The silver light slowly devoured Kurumi and formed a silver ball of light, like a vast pupa. Master said that we should not ask about everything that happened here. Broken bar. But the young lady a broken bar. Guard it well. Don't let anyone else in. I will report this to the old master. Shiyi gritted her teeth. She thought of what old Master Tokisaki had said to her before she left. Seeing this scene, she finally understood what it meant. The two of them had been watching Kurumi grow up. Naturally, they did not want anything to happen to her. However, this matter was too abnormal. It made Shiyi's heart jump. Who knew what that thing was? How could it suddenly run into the young lady's body? The silver ball of light was motionless. Only the occasional bright light could make people feel the pulse of life inside. All the doors leading to the laboratory were locked, and even the researchers with high-level authority outside could not enter. Shiju had been staring at the light chrysalis, wanting to pull the young miss out from there. Shi Yizing was urgently contacting old Master Tokisaki, and the statement from the other side was, "Don't worry, as long as we guarantee that Kurumi will not be disturbed until she wakes up." The two of them had no choice. Fortunately, there was a spare food source inside, and they just watched the light chrysalis that swallowed the young lady. 1 day a broken bar. 2 days a broken bar. Kurumi opened her eyes. Dressed in the divine might spirit equipment, she could feel her strength increase in all aspects. As for what extent it reached, she was not very clear. But now a broken bar. Where was she? The black earth did not have any impurities. It was so flat that it made people panic. The so-called horizon could not be seen. It seemed to be an infinite parallel extension. The sky was silver, just like the earth. Or a broken bar. There is no concept of heaven and earth at all. Kurumi's mind moved, and her body rose into the air. When she flew between the two, the whole world was directly reversed. The silver became the earth, and the black became the sky. A broken bar. Child, come to me. A broken bar. Kurumi turned around and did not find anyone. The voice just now. Who are you? Why did you pull me here? Child, you are just a soul that entered my world. As for who I am, All life forms call me the god of time and space. Soul. Kurumi was shocked. Wasn't her soul Moxiao? How did she become Kurumi Tokisaki entirely? Was there such a god in the dark plane? As if seeing through Kurumi's doubts, the old voice came again. This is only one of my consciousness bodies. When someone entered here broken bar, it means that I have died. It might have been in the past, or the future, or it might have just fallen. Where I die is my final destination. You are an epic god. The power of the gods is so great. It is not an exaggeration to be obeyed by countless lives as epics. Kurumi finally understood that this so-called god of space and time was not a native god of the dark plane but had somehow wandered here to maintain a certain degree of reverence towards the strong, even if it were for a god that had fallen long ago. From the fact that she had unknowingly pulled her soul into this place, Kurumi had to be careful to prevent herself from accidentally dying. Taking another look at the reversed space, Kurumi asked, "Is there anything you need?" "Ah, if there is nothing, why did I pull you in?" The owner of the voice seemed to be in a good mood. "I won't tell you anything else. I can feel that the world is undergoing a drastic change, and you are the inheritor I have chosen." Kurumi could not help but raise her eyebrows. Shouldn't this kind of heavenly opportunity only be treated by the main character? Was it a trap this time, or did he take a fancy to this body's talent? Hearing him continue to speak, Kurumi calmed herself down. "Even if I can let time revolve around my fingertips and experience countless planes, it is still the first time I have seen a life form like you who has such a high affinity for time and space. It has existed for many eras, but I cannot explore the ultimate mystery, so I stepped on that path. However, I did not expect that even though I was regarded as a space-time god, I still could not resist the root impact of these two laws. That is why my original body might have fallen before the birth of the era, or in the distant future, or perhaps just died. Only the divine spark remained, and it was rushed into a timeline in an unknown plane by the long river of time. It was not until I met you that I felt the strong fluctuations of time and space from you. Or a broken bar. You are a combination of time and space. How could it be? A broken bar, but your strength is inconsistent to broken bar, so I dropped this idea. It can only be said that this universe is too magical, and all kinds of life can be born. I should have sensed you a long time ago, and not at such a close distance. See a broken bar. There seems to be a force protecting you, making me unable to see the other broken bar well. Is there any doubt? There was no free lunch in this world. Kurumi naturally understood this reason. It was better to ask clearly what things he should take. What responsibilities will I take after I get the inheritance? A broken bar. The voice no longer sounded. It seemed to be deep in thought. If it is possibly broken bar in the future, if you can step into the long river of time, please find the traces I left behind and help there. His words were covered up, and it was impossible to hear clearly. Before Kurumi could ask again, the entire space suddenly blended with the sky and earth, slowly gathering on her body. A broken bar. On August 29th, on the fourth day when the young lady was wrapped in the light chrysalis, there was still no movement. Shiju and I were very worried, but there was nothing we could do. Broken bar. Just as Shiyi was recording in his notebook, he suddenly heard Shiju exclaim, "Look at the light chrysalis, there is movement." A broken bar. His vision was pitch black, and nothing could be seen. His soul seemed to be being pulled. A broken bar. Boom. Kurumi opened her eyes. The silver light chrysalis turned into liquid and wrapped around her body. It gradually turned into a black and red Lolita dress. There seemed to be spear shadows condensing between her hands. In the void behind her, a vast golden clock was slowly revealed. Suddenly, a mighty aura erupted from Kurumi's body. The entire Yangtze Island was shaking. The spear shadow clock disappeared instantly, leaving only the spirit equipment on her body. The strange eyes were full of anger. Lord God. Chapter 81, The Countdown. When the sky and earth fused into Kurumi's body, the fragmented god unleashed its final strength, crazily stimulating Kurumi's ability. The energy of time and space washed over the elf's body, and the hour-hand clock in the left eye was spinning at high speed. The power of God was somewhat unbearable for Kurumi, but in the end, it was still compressed into her body. At this moment, the master god that had not shown up all this time directly attached itself to Kurumi's body. That extreme power was sucked dry by it, and even the angel that was about to appear once again dove into the void. Now, Kurumi wanted to kill the master god. To draw out so much energy from her body, that feeling was simply crazy. Moreover, she could not control her own body at all. The body of an elf has been tampered by the Lord God. Although she had already guessed this, it was time to truly become a reality. The haze that filled her heart still couldn't be wiped away. A broken bar. Reincarnator was a creature raised by the Lord God. He couldn't control his fate. This saying was publicly acknowledged, but this kind of puppet-like feeling made Kurumi feel a bit of despair. The powerful force that erupted caused the two of them to charge into the laboratory wall. Until now, it wasn't easy to stand up. When the two of them saw Kurumi dressed in the Divine Might Spirit equipment, they were a bit unfamiliar for a moment. The words God filled with anger made them recognize Kurumi again. Originally, the young lady had never lost her temper in their memories. She had always been as gentle as water. Although she did not like to talk, her wine-red eyes could quickly infect the people around her when she smiled. And now, the young lady's appearance made them feel a chill from the bottom of their hearts. A broken bar. Kurumi exhaled a breath of turbid air. The depression in her heart was slightly better. Judging from the fact that the Lord God was shameless enough to snatch the power that Reincarnator had obtained, there was almost no progress in the High School of the Dead. This meant that it would take a long time for it to recover. How long is very long? Kurumi could not give an accurate number. At least much longer than the time she had been born to now. She still had a chance. The creator in the dark plane would resist the severely injured Lord God. And how long did the original Lijiayu become the creator? At that time, even if she could not destroy the Lord God, she could drive it away from her side. That was enough. Right now, The most important thing was to go to Xijian University and follow the main character, a broken bar. However, Li Jiayu was indeed suffering from many disasters. Wouldn't that be able to help him temper himself? Even Kurumi herself was not very sure. Although they had only spent a few days together, their loyalty had already been confirmed by Kurumi. How strong was the reincarnator's sense of danger? However, the two of them could still use their bodies to protect Kurumi's vital parts without leaving a single drop of water behind. The spirit equipment on her body slowly turned into a long black dress. She pointed at the tip of her feet and asked, "Are you all right?" The two of them straightened up, not even wiping the blood from the corners of their mouths. Instead, they looked at Kurumi worriedly. "Young lady, it doesn't matter what we do, broken bar, but are you really fine?" "It's fine." "Tell me what time it is now." "Young lady, it's August 29th. 2013. Kurumi's pupils shrank to the size of a needle. "What time?" "It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon." TSK. Kurumi, who had just returned to normal, had a dangerous aura that made Shi-Yi and the others fear her. "Call Grandpa first. Tell him to come here." "No need to call. I'm already here." The door to the laboratory was opened, and a white-haired King Gwing walked in. Before Kurumi could open her mouth, King Gwing's voice once again entered their ears. "All of this is what I saw in the past. The invasion of the foreign races is about to begin. I know what you will choose, so do it boldly. In this new era that is about to begin, everything in the old world will be swept into dust. I only hope that you can be safe and not worry about us, who will only be a burden, and strive to continue the Tokisakis clan." Taking a deep breath, Shi-Yi said, "Shi-Yi, tell me the location of the warehouse." A broken bar. At 4:33 p.m., the apocalypse would arrive, and this time was in Xijiang City. Now that Kurumi was in Yingzhou, there was naturally a deviation. Under the surprise of everyone in the group, Kurumi drove off on her own and arrived at the warehouse not far from the headquarters. She stuffed everything inside into her space backpack. Fortunately, everything had been delivered over the past few days. Even the cooked food was safe and secure. She hurried back to the laboratory in Tokisakis building. Regardless of the older man and the other two's surprised gazes, she took out a lot of food and left a small number of weapons. She turned around and walked out of the door. "Shi-Yi, Shiju, protect my grandfather. I will come back." When they walked out of the open door, Kurumi turned around and smiled at them with a slightly sad smile. "I hope that when I come back, there will be a lot of you." The days of being cared for were perfect. Even if old Master Tokisakis was a little naggy, Kurumi was still happy to listen to him. There were also Shi-Yi and Shiju. The young and beautiful faces were stiff every day, making Kurumi want to tease them. When she walked out of the headquarters building with a gloomy face, the people she met were all respectful to her, but she thought in her heart, which blind person had offended this big miss? They were completely unaware of the impending danger. Perhaps, this was also their sorrow. Even if 100 out of 1,000 people could survive, there were probably very few who could fight against bugs. If there were no inheritors after this, they would all die. Time: 4:28 in the afternoon. There were still 5 minutes and 49 seconds until the disaster broke out. Master God, how should I return to Xijian University? I can rent a positioning transmitter. This time, I will rent it with the Suma broken bar 100 samsara points. The system student initially thought it was just a stiff reply, but this time, the Master God, who had not opened his mouth all this time, opened his mouth to speak. The cold voice that did not carry a trace of emotion made Kurumi's heart feel cold. The Master God had absorbed the broken god, and his injuries showed signs of easing up. This was not a good sign. The cost of teleportation is so low. It seems that the Lord God also wants her to stay by the main character's side. A broken bar. Use teleportation. Target Xijiang University. The corridor beside Li Jiayu's classroom. Ding. Unable to accurately teleport. The smallest location is Xijiang University. Kurumi's eyes narrowed slightly. It seemed that the Lord God was not willing to suffer any losses. The cost of these two teleportations. A broken bar was entirely lacking in space. Ding. Approximately 100 reincarnation points will be deducted from this teleportation. Confirm? Yes. A blue light suddenly burst out from Kurumi's body and then disappeared. The passers-by on the side were so scared that they thought they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. A broken bar. Li Jiayu. How long do you want to be absent-minded? Are you not interested in the program I am hosting, or do you have a problem with me?